welcome to Geek Chat 2, folks. I see there's two people waiting already. As you can see to my right, my left, I've got John from Mondo, Chelloveck Movies. We'll get a wee introduction from John in a wee minute. But just, if you're joining this for the first time, find the channel, or if you're watching the replay, again, thanks for coming along. Basically, Geek Chat is all about getting other YouTubers, other people who have befriended the content and enjoy it. And we're just going to have a chat. I'll kind of ask John some questions, put him through his paces in regards to what I kind of cover on my channel, find out what he's all about, and then obviously it'll be a bit of a Q&A as well. So please fire any comments down, any questions, and every 5-10 minutes or so we'll stop and we'll try and answer them. That'll help keep the conversation going. It really helps with the comments, guys, so fire as many as you can, and remember to hit the like button as well. So, John, thanks so much for coming on, mate. As I say, we're chatting in the kind of backstage lobby, if you like, there, and I was just telling John that I've been following John for a wee while, probably about a year now, I think. When I first started my own channel, I just went, right, UK Blu-ray, searched it, and John's mug was one of the first ones that came up. Straight into it, and I just right away, I just liked his content, liked his style, and I just kind of ended up following him. And he's definitely inspired my channel with some of the stuff that I've done. So, John, tell us a wee bit about your channel and kind of what got you started, mate.
Well, I think it's pretty much like everybody. You look for things like this, don't you? Actually, funny enough, I think it was Big Paulie's site. It came up because it was talking about HMV closing. I think at that time everyone was wondering if it was going to shut. Don't know what year that was, a couple of years ago. And he was just sitting in his car talking about it. And then that got me onto a few other videos, and I thought, hang on a minute, people are literally coming onto YouTube and talking about movies and what they've actually got. And I watched it for maybe about a year before I thought, I think I could try this. And then I think I spent a year working out how to do it, because I'm very rubbish at stuff like that. And I wanted to make sure it was half decent before I started out. And that's what inspired us to say, just give it a shot and see. I think most YouTubers, when they start out, it's just to see if they can do it, because they've got a passion for movies, and they can sort of maybe see if it connects with people. So that's basically what inspired me to do it, just watching a couple of videos and thinking, wow, this is a thing.
Yeah, awesome. Did you start during COVID, John?
It was yes, it was actually. It was my first proper time was 1st of June 2020. So yeah, it was COVID. I think maybe that was what spurred us on, because at that time you had a lot of spare time. So I thought, well, I've got all the spare time, I might just start doing this thing. I had no knowledge of how it was going to go, what I was going to do. I think I probably did copy a few things, a few top 10s, like pickups, the things that I knew that people would have watched. So I thought, well, I'll try a few of them. And I think there's a few things I had in mind to do more with music, which has never happened. But I think that'll come along eventually when it does. But it seemed to have been the movies that, when you get into a sort of thing that connects with people, you find yourself talking about the movies more. So you go down the movies front, because you know that people are more interested in that. And then you realize how interested you are in movies and your sort of appreciation for. And I was just starting out in 4K as well. So it was a great medium to sort of have that banter with other people who are starting out in 4K and saying, well, finding out about it together, sort of thing, which is quite good actually. So yeah, so it was basically, and my channel is sort of that. It's been the same for about 2 years, and it's just it evolves naturally. I think whatever happens on it happens, and that's the way it goes. I think my live streams have only recently started out, because I felt like I could do them at that point. I didn't think I could do them when I started off. I think it's important to only do things you feel you can achieve, rather than taking too much and being completely hopeless at it. Because I know there's a few things that are out of my reach, so I don't go there. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm happy with it, and I think it's a great platform.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it as well. I was kind of the same. It was towards the end of lockdown when I started mine. I've kind of mentioned on the last one, but yeah, it was because basically I'm kind of a stay-at-home dad a lot of the time now, so that was kind of why I took the plunge. I followed, some of the big channels, Films at Home, Spare Change, and I started off. I was like, I'm purely going to talk about 4K reviews, and like you say, it's funny how it's only when you start to actually do it and you can maybe get a little bit of feedback that it goes in a direction you maybe didn't think it would, and you kind of ignites passion that you didn't realize was maybe there, and then the channel kind of goes that way. But no, I'm certainly enjoying your channel, mate. Just when you mentioned about the music there, that's something I've always liked about yours. It's your own music, isn't it? Am I right saying? So you're a bit of a musician, is that right?
Well, I've been a musician since school. Mainly friends who were still in a band, believe it or not, although we hardly ever do anything. We've done stuff from school. We learned how to play all the instruments in school, well, kind of badly, and then we've progressed into like playing live stuff with some band members, and then into other live band situations, and then that sort of tailed off because you get married and things happen and all that type of thing.
Life is in the way.
Yeah, and then you sort of. But I came back to it when I got this like portable recording studio, and that's where I record all my stuff on. So I can do it all myself. So that's why, and I don't fall out with myself. You know, if I want to write something that sounds like a spaghetti western theme tune, nobody's going to go, "Ah, that's rubbish." You can just do it, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So I love messing about in that studio thing I've got. It's the best thing I bought actually, way back in the day.
What is it you play, John?
What instruments?
What was it? What were you in the band?
I started off. It's in the bands I've been the drummer in the band. Right. And it started off in a punk band, then a thrash band, like metal band. So it was all about speed. Speed was the king. How fast you could play that kit. How fast you could do a double bass drums. That was what it was all about. Of course, I thought you were
talking about the type that comes in a bag, white powder stuff. There.
It's funny, you know, because I think everyone thinks that it's one of them things that happens when you're in a band, but not with us.
Not really, no.
It must have just been so green that there's nothing happening to us. We never even saw anything like that, and we just did that. And then I sort of half learned how to play. Well, I wanted to play the guitar, but I couldn't really play it, so I learned how to play the bass. The bass is obviously pretty easy, and then I progressed into the guitar. And some of the guitarists in this thrash metal band, they showed us how to like play these really cheap power chords. So that I came from that, and then can play the keyboard with one finger. But if I put it on to like 12 channels on my studio, then that's 12 fingers playing. So yeah, it's all about cheating, but it's good. It's good fun.
Depending on where you're from, that's too many in it.
Yes.
I'll just put some questions. I don't want to neglect the comments because they're starting to come in. So first in the door is Paul Tams. Thanks for joining us so early, mate. Evening, gents.
Yeah. All right, Paul.
This is a new one for me, I think. A view with Drew. Hey, what's up? What's happening? What's happening, right, Drew? Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah.
Paul Tams. This looks meaty, Paul. Throwing big questions at us already. So, where can you guys see the industry in the next 10 years in regards to streaming and physical release? I feel we will see physical media becoming a sort of boutique item like vinyl. Put that to you first, John. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, actually, he's kind of, when I was reading the first part of that question, I'm thinking, wow, this could be something that I couldn't really put my finger on instantly. But I think Paul's done it actually when he says he thinks that it could become the boutique vinyl element where you've got this sort of, I would have never thought that vinyl would have made a comeback because back in the day when it fell out of fashion, it was literally throwing them in the bin. You couldn't give them away, these vinyls. Yeah. But these days, they're like much sought after. And I do think actually Paul has probably hit the nail on the head there to say that I think it will be. I think your regular releases will kind of fall by the wayside, unfortunately. All the Disney stuff will go to streaming and it's going to stay that way, unfortunately. But I suppose it's a thing that maybe kids would love, but the likes of us who want that physical thing in your hand, I think I'm going to always go to that. Unfortunately, that's going to mean that the prices are going to be even more astronomical and they're going to be crazy. But I think that's probably where it's going to go, personally. But I do think that I don't think any format's going to win. I think that both ones are going to be around forever. But I do think that they'll form their own niche markets. And I do think that the stuff, the collectible stuff that we have, like Arrow stuff, maybe even 4K, that'll remain physical. But I think your general stuff, which just like the average movie that comes out, will just go straight to streaming and just stop there and probably not get a physical.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that, to be honest, Paul, from what John's already said. I think that is, especially if you're talking the next 10 years, it's kind of going that way already. Yeah. These, like the Arrow, the box sets, the Arrow, Second Sight are putting out are fantastic, but I do see them getting even more expensive, John. I see them finding, there's these like one clicks they're calling them now, that I've noticed the main distributors like Savvy, HMV are starting to kind of jump on. These have you got any like Manta Lab stuff, or these like Everything Blue? I think they're these one-click box sets. I can see it going that way. I think.
Yeah, it's something that I like looking at. I like people opening them and showing them what they are. But I think that you've got a certain budget, and you've got to either get one of them or maybe get 4 of the releases. So they're nice, but they're a bit too extravagant. I'd rather get a couple of probably still quite expensive stuff, but they're not stuff where I think, well, that's all my money for the month gone on one particular thing, which will look great, but you've only got like one movie, as opposed to maybe getting a handful.
Yeah.
What do you think of those, Andy? Do you think there's something you could get, or would you think it's a little bit too extreme for yourself?
I have a couple of well, not really. I suppose not for just one film, but I did actually order. Did you see that Rambo one that was announced? The Zavi one, First Blood.
I didn't. No.
It's like I think there's like a couple of options. There's the steelbook, which are typical like £25. Then there's like the full one click, as they call it, which is like it's £90 or something like that, just for one movie. But it's got all sorts of like memorabilia, and it is a really, really nice box set. And then there's kind of half step that's in between that was about £50. I'd ordered that, and then I basically I think the cost of living and stuff, I had to have a bit of a conversation with myself and the wife, and I actually cancelled a lot of pre-orders. And that's why you've noticed I've not really done any unboxings the last month or so. I will do them again, but it was just I had to be realistic with the budget.
Yeah.
So I think, to answer the question, I can see myself doing it, but I think it will need to be something that I really, it's like it's one of my favourite movies or something. I don't think I'm going to be the type that just like, oh yeah, insta buy every fancy set. That's not really the collector I am. I'm not even. I'm kind of in my infancy as a collector, to be honest. I had a lot of titles on DVD years ago. Got rid of them all, and the channel is kind of starting alongside the rebooting of my collection. So I don't actually have loads, John, if I'm honest. So everything that comes out now is tempting for me because I don't have like an old release of that. So every time something's released in 4K, chances are I don't have it. So in any format. So it's hard not to jump on. But I will move on to the next one's. It's a good question, Paul. I think like John said, I think that's what's happened with it. I think it will get even cooler. I mean, I think it's cool already. I think everyone's saying this stuff's cool. But I think it will become mainstream cool in that next 10 years. I think you might find, if our channels are still around, John, which I'm sure they will be, that you might get more people, younger people coming to it down the line when it becomes even more kind of like fashionable, if that makes sense, the way vinyl has.
That's a good point, because maybe these days, I think I was talking to my nephew, my niece, and her partner about the whole physical music around. And so that Michelle, as they were saying, what on earth are you doing that for? And it doesn't compute with them. I think it's foolish. So I said, well, fair enough. I said, you like what you like, I like what I like. But I could do see maybe in the future, in 10 years' time, maybe they could come back and say, mate, can I have a look at that stuff now? Because that's stuff you just don't get anymore. Or I'm really interested in collecting a movie, and I noticed you had this thing from 10 years ago. And have a look at it. So yeah, I think it's going to make a bit of a renaissance eventually.
Yeah, I think it will. I definitely think it will. Anyway, we'll move on. Cheers for that, Paul.
Yeah.
Total Move Recall, easy lads. Do you know Total Move Recall, John? Do you follow him on Instagram?
I've seen him in the chats. Does he have a YouTube channel?
He does kind of like long form. He just started long form, kind of basically like a video podcast. It's really good. I really enjoy it. But he's also you called him a magician there, a musician. And he's a drummer as well. So there you go.
Well, yeah, I've got to follow him, haven't I?
You've got to follow him now. That's it. Definitely. There you go. I've got a new subscriber, mate. Rock God 2004. Good evening, chaps. Good evening, Rock God, mate.
That's Nige, actually. We're going to be doing the live stream for the video nasties.
Oh, I've seen that.
That's Nige there.
Awesome. I'll jump in for that. Thanks for joining us, Nige.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Pete, Playtendo guy. Evening, Andy and John. Hope you're both well. I'm good, Pete. Hope you're well too.
All right, Pete. Thanks for watching.
I had a bit, and we've got Lashley. That's us caught up. Maybe you'll know how to pronounce this name better than me, John, because I've seen him popping up the odd time in your stream. Korishia, that's it.
Korishia. I call him Koro.
Koro, right.
Koro, that's much easier, but no, he's a good lad, Korishia, Ishi.
Yeah, I see him popping up in a lot of the streams and in your videos.
Yeah, he does actually.
A good supporter, and he's recently had a bit of a dialogue with him on one of my videos, and he seemed like a top lad. So
no,
thanks for joining us, mate. He's put something else on. I'm here for the brandy. No brandy tonight, mate. It's just coffee out in the electric gig mug for me.
I've got that. Yeah, that is iced coffee.
Fancy coffee.
It's boiling here.
I normally do drink on these streams. I just don't have anything. I'm just skint this month. I don't have anything, but I'll dish that. But yeah, so John, what I like about your channel is, mate, is that, as I say, as much as I'm a bit of I would consider myself a movie buff, but I wouldn't call myself by any means like a collector of your stature. Certainly, if you're to, not that I'm into comparing, or I think that it's what quantity is the kind of winner as such, but just looking at your videos and the vast amount of stuff you cover, your knowledge is awesome. I mean, the first video I watched of yours actually was your top 10 Hammer horror, was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it because it was interesting. You were obviously passionate about it. Like when somebody says Hammer horror, I just immediately picture Christopher Lee, but I've never actually seen any Hammer horror with Christopher Lee, just like the Bond films and stuff and Star Wars and that. But I really enjoyed it, and I kind of took a note of some of the ones that you mentioned. So I suppose that leads on to like what kind of got you stuck? What was your moment growing up as a kid or whatever, a teen, when you kind of like discovered the magic of movies as such? To be excuse the cheesiness, but
if I'm honest, I think it was because on TV there was nothing apart from TV and cinema, and you go on the weekends to cinema, and then you would get your cinema experience, and usually they would show you get like new movies, but there was usually old movies, or like the likes of Sinbad and action stuff, like and James Bond, that type of thing. So I used to watch all that and like kids movies, Disney. But the TV stuff was always Universal horrors on and Hammer horror on at the weekend. Like without a shadow of a doubt, you get double bill. So I used to say to my dad, "Can I stop up and watch them?" He said, "Yeah, no bother. Just turn the light off when you're finished." And then I just used to sit up and just watch. I was just fall asleep, like it was to do something about 2 o'clock in the morning. But that was why I was like firmly in like Hammer horror and Universal. I just used to watch them like all the time on the TV. So I think that's what got me really into. And then I got loads of books about the Hammer horror stuff, which I still got actually, and I was just reading them all the time. When there was nothing on the telly, no films on the telly, I was reading all about them. And I was thinking, I hope this one's going to come on this week, and that type of thing. But I did realise after the Dracula and the Frankenstein, there's a lot more Hammer than just them, because I just thought it was Dracula and Frankenstein, but there's a lot more to it, and there's some really deep, dark ones as well, like which are quite psychological and stuff, and then used to get towards the start of the 70s, they've got like a very kind of adult orientated, they've got like a lot more, the censors must have relaxed on them, and they got a little bit more explicit, and I was thinking, wow, put them all on TV, they never cut them and stuff, not that you knew anything about that. So I think that's what started me off on really enjoying movies. And then obviously when you had the chance, when the video exploded, going out and get the video shop, that's when I thought, well, I've got to actually collect these movies, not just not just look at them in the telly. I want to be able to put a movie on whenever I want to. So it was a revelation. Yeah.
Awesome. Is it? Yeah. So like, it's funny that it's also a simpler time, isn't it, when you had to like put more effort in almost to have a knowledge of films in it, like you say, see when they're coming out on the TV or whatever, source them any which way you can. Was your family into movies, or were you kind of, because my mum and dad liked them, but not with the same passion I had, so it was kind of weird that, because even like it's kind of strange where it came from, but I think it was my granddad used to collect VHS, and I would go around there in the late 80s, early 90s, and he had all this stuff that you love now, like the Robocop, Terminator, Rambo, all that stuff. And it was quite liberal. We went like 5-year-old watching it. It was just, I think it was a case of like, he just wanted to have a beer or whatever. So he'd be like, just take that video upstairs and just watch whatever you want. Yeah. So that was kind of how I seen all my stuff. But my earliest memory was like, I remember my grand and papa had like Sky Cinema or whatever it was called back in like 1990, whatever. It was this one night. He made a big thing about it. It was like, right, we're watching a film tonight. And it was like coming on at a certain time. It was like, Sylvester Stallone movie. It was Lock Up, right? Of all the movies. It was Lock Up, and it was like, we're watching this tonight, and we all get ready. He gets his drink ready. We got the munchies and all that, and I sat on his knee and we watched it, and it was like, it always sticks with me because he made it an event. He made it something that this is something you get organised for, and you sit down and you watch it. I mean, I should have been watching Lock Up at 5-year-old, but I'm glad I did, because it's kind of like, it's kind of instilled that. Oh, that was definitely my earliest memory of loving that stuff. But yeah, I went on to watch all the stuff I shouldn't have been watching. But anyone who's probably like, I'm 36, anyone that's in the mid-30s that likes films probably was the same. But yeah, James Bond was my kind of first thing that I jumped on, and I was big into that, and Star Wars and stuff. And then now my favourite genres is probably action, big budget action stuff, and sci-fi. But to be honest, I like anything, and as I say, that's why I like watching like yourself, John, because you've got the knowledge of other stuff, so I can take me notes and check stuff out.
Oh, thanks for that. I mean, I think it's, and I do the same with other people. If someone else is into like a certain genre, I'll be like siphon off their knowledge and say, oh, I'll go down that rabbit hole or whatever. But I like a sort of broad range of stuff, so it makes us kind of aware of a lot of stuff. Plus, as well, if I've been from 6 years old, if I've been physically trying to dig out all of these movies, it's a long time ago. I mean, 54 now, so it's 6 years old. So I've had a long time. So all the stuff on the shelf is saying like 50 odd years of me tunnel vision on movies with a little bit of guitar in the middle. So yeah, if I didn't know anything about them now, I'd have to pack it in, wouldn't I?
Oh, that's it. Aye, that's it. Yeah, right. There's been a few spoilers, folks. So I apologise for that. I've tried my best to block them as we're going, but I'll resume the comments. So, okay, Chef, hi Andy and John. Have a great live stream. Cheers, man.
All right, Paul.
There's Paul. I'll skip these spoilers. I've tried to block as many as I can. They're using different names and stuff. Paul was just saying get the spammer off. Got that off. Paul blocked him. Cheers, mate. I didn't know you could do that, but cheers. I managed to block some of them. I don't need to see note now. Sorry about that, mate. Hope the rest of the stream makes up for wasting the film for you.
Yeah.
Coro, doesn't Michael Myers also not turn into a 6-year-old husky? Nope.
He might do.
He might do. I've not seen it.
That'd be good, wouldn't he?
I think Willy Wonka comes to. Okay. Right, Rock God. Have either of you watched the trailer for Halloween Ends yet? It looks amazing, but Universal have said it's a bit different. It apparently takes place about 4 years after the previous two films. I've not seen Halloween Kills yet. So have you seen Halloween Kills, John?
Halloween Kills, yes, I have, yeah.
I'll let you kind of answer that one, because I've not seen the trailer for.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. It's funny because I don't think I watched the trailer for Halloween Kills before I watched the movie Halloween Kills. So I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to just not try and see anything about it. I didn't see anything about Halloween Kills apart from everyone said they didn't really like it. A lot of people said it was awful. So I went in with a very low expectation. I really enjoyed it for what it was. Enjoyed it more than Halloween 2018. So for me, I'm just not gonna watch it and just get like as fresh a look at it as I can. But I know it does take place 4 years after the previous two, which is a bit odd. But I'm interested to see what happens. But I want to go in as little spoiler-free as possible.
I don't mind spoiling Halloween Kills, because I'm not massive into Halloween, but just in case anyone else hasn't seen it, we'll not kind of down that route. But I enjoyed Halloween 2018. I've not followed the whole series. I've seen like Halloween 1 and 2, I think, because I'm not big into horror, if I'm honest. But I'm starting to kind of be more intrigued. Being in this YouTube space now, I'm kind of feeding off other people's love for horror, so I'm starting to watch a bit more. But I really enjoyed 2018. I watched it with a wife, and maybe because I don't watch a lot of horror stuff, so for me it was all quite fresh, and I just really enjoyed it. I've just not gotten around to watching Halloween Kills is all. But yeah, I will definitely watch Halloween Kills, and I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I'll definitely check that out.
It's got a beautiful 4K, mind. It's got one of the best 4Ks, one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen.
Now. I think that 4K is cheap now.
It's cheap. Plus as well, the dark levels in it. It's some of the best dark levels I've ever seen. Really is. I was quite surprised at how good it was.
Oh, you've sold it to me then.
Yeah, I thought, as soon as
picture quality, and then I'm in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, I think Keith Euphoria Pictures first mentioned it to say, because I was on the fence with even checking it out, because I heard a lot of bad things about them, and I heard that the 4K was absolutely amazing. I thought, well, I think I will have to check it out now, just for but I would only see it on the 4K. I wouldn't go anywhere else, and then I would get like the best experience. But wow, I was really blown away by how good it was for a kind of low budget horror film that shouldn't really look that good. It looks really good. So you make it your sort of your eye candy effect where they might make the movie improve a slight bit because it looks so nice.
I definitely suffer from that a little bit. Like, see, I watched the Eternals, the MCU movie. Have you seen it, John?
I've seen half of it, but it's all right. But yeah, I might go back.
It's very meh. I'll be honest, but I watched it on Disney Plus, and you know that whole IMAX enhanced on my TV with the surround sound, and I definitely gave that maybe half a star or a star, even more than what it probably deserved as a film, just because it had that like wow factor. So I'm definitely always take my actual movie reviews with a pinch of salt, especially if I say it looks nice.
To be honest, I saw it on Disney Plus. That's where we're watching it. Actually, that's where we're halfway up in it, and I must admit the IMAX stuff on there was sensational.
It's awesome, isn't it? I forgot all the movies. Hi guys, hope you're doing well tonight. It's Andy, isn't it? We recently subscribed to Andy. How you doing, mate? Thanks for jumping in.
Great lad.
I watched his In Search of Tomorrow video whilst I was waiting. I think mine came a few days after his, and I ended up doing my own one. But no, it was a good video.
Got some great videos.
Yeah, I've just not. Do you not find that way, John? Like, when you're a YouTuber yourself, it's just like there's loads of channels you want to. Even yours, I don't get through all yours. If I'm honest, just because I don't have the time, you know, between like family life and making my own stuff. I've got to kind of cherry pick or add to my watch list and stuff, and I try the best I can.
Time's the enemy. It is. It really is. You do try your best, and sometimes I can go back to a video that I might see from maybe even yourself, but it might be about 3 or 4 months ago. I go if it comes up, I'll watch it. Usually when I go in the morning, I watch most of my videos on the telly, and I'll find what it gives is what I watch. I don't really go searching for them that much. So, but there's a lot. Sometimes I'll navigate to. I think YouTube just takes you in a way, kind of, you know, it's recommendation.
Yeah.
So you would sometimes get to see all the ones that you would want to. I would love my recommendations to be all your favorite channels. But not. It's far from it. I'm getting stuff that's like, you know, like look at these people killing rats, you know, shooting rats. I'm going,
I want to ask what you were watching to get recommended that, John.
So you just think, well, I don't want to see that, but anyway. So yeah, but I know what you're saying. It's I think if it would be impossible to keep on everyone's videos that you subscribe to, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's very like, just like you say, from my end as a user, nothing to do with like being a YouTuber as such, but just watching content is very strong to whatever you've watched last. You know, if you watch one thing that's maybe slightly different to what you normally watch, then you'll get recommended that kind of stuff the next 3 or 4 videos. Even if you've been watching one, like say you've been watching Blu-ray videos for 4 months, but then you decide you want to watch F1 highlights for some reason, then like the next 5 videos you'll get, or the next week of videos will all be F1 related, even though, you know, it doesn't seem to realise that maybe that was a one-off, you know, but...
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right there. It's just I would like prefer to go and just watch Blu-ray stuff, and maybe I might watch more Blu-ray and what's it called, music. That's me. But I like to watch restoration things, you know, stupid things where people get a gun and it's all like manky and they like make it like brand new again.
Right.
Yeah, I like watch people turning things on lathes, making things out of like pencils and stuff like that. But yeah, I know what you're saying, but it is hard to keep up. But it's you know the good thing about them though, they're going to be there forever, so you'll always
you'll see them. Go back.
Yeah,
definitely. Paul, right? What's on 4K? What's one 4K movie you would like in your collection that you just cannot get at the moment? Mine is easily the Terminator. John, what's your kind of like on your Christmas list, your wish list?
It would be high in that. It would be. I'm going to say the likes of some of the Fulci movies that aren't out yet, like The Beyond. What's the other one that I really want? The 2 Argento ones, the Inferno, and what's the other one that's there's another one, Opera. Inferno, Opera, and The Beyond. Manhattan Baby, which is another Fulci one, which I think will look really good on 4K, and the Black Cat Fulci movie. So just obscure. The only problem with them is they're just really obscure, and that they might come out, but they're not ones that are definite. I did see there was a Blu-rays that I think will look on 4K. Cleopatra would look spectacular on 4K.
I watched your video. I watched that video you did. There was some really cool stuff I hadn't seen as well.
Well, I would say Cleopatra, but they were saying in the comments it's like owned by Disney now, so there's little chance of it coming out.
Right.
Which is a
big shame. Who knows? Disney might. I think what's harking back to what Paul was saying earlier on about the future of physical media. I think what more and more of these, especially as it becomes more niche, as it gets more popularity, and with collectors, more and more boutique labels. I think new ones we don't even know yet are going to pop up and start, a bidding war with the bigger company, with Disney, Paramount, whatever it is, all these big studios, Universal, who basically don't have time because they'll probably be more focused on the streaming side and the production side, and they'll start buying the rights. So hopefully you might see some like Cleopatra getting bought by, Arrow or Second Sight or something.
That's a good point, actually, because these people who buy people's back catalogs and music, and they'll keep them, and then somebody wants to actually release it, so they license it out of them, and they'll say, "Oh, you can have it, but we need a cut of it." I think the bloke who owns Dawn of the Dead, who had Dawn of the Dead, who wouldn't release it to anybody, it was a fella, I think, he licensed it to Second Sight to do their big box set 4K, and I think it was more or less to say like, but I want a good slice of this. This is, you're going to get this, and I want a big slice. So it's a bit of a money-making scheme that Disney could own all this Fox stuff and say to somebody, you can have it, but you're going to have to pay us a little bit of cash for that. So, to me,
it's a no-brainer that. Like, I'm not a businessman, but the simple kind of logic is there, isn't it? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Get a third party in to make it. There's definitely a market for people that want it in physical. Sell it to those people.
Yeah,
probably like 40, 50 quid a pop per unit. Like you say, Disney get a cut for something that they were never going to get around to doing anyway, but someone else has now done it. So they're putting no effort into it whatsoever, but getting a chunk. And then obviously your third party who's going to the effort of putting it together is getting their money. But ultimately the fan who wants it is getting it. So that I don't see. I definitely think that's the way it's going to go. But to answer your question, Paul, actually one of my subscribers has been in touch with me. He was talking about The Abyss. I know the James Cameron ones are a bit like done to death. Everyone's always like, when we getting True Lies, when we getting The Abyss. But that's because they're awesome films. And believe it or not, shock horror, I've not actually seen The Abyss. So, and I think that the reason why I've not seen it is because it's not on a Blu-ray. And I think, so I've known for years about I need to see this, and I think I've just kept going, I'll just wait, because it's bound to come out, and I don't want to watch it on DVD, basically. So one of my subscribers was chatting with me today, and he's very kindly offered to get one to me. I think it's someone who's had a go at restoring it to HD quality. So he's gonna put it on a disc for me and send it to me. So
great.
You know who you are, Paul. If you're watching me, thanks very much, and I'll hopefully get that soon. And that's how I'm going to watch it. So I'd like to see the best come to 4K, but at least I'll get to see it soon. But if you're talking about something that I actually have that I think would look awesome and is underappreciated, is Tron Legacy and the original Tron. That's still to come to 4K. But I think Tron Legacy has a Blu-ray. Looks fantastic. Joseph Kosinski film, who directed Top Gun Maverick there. He's just got fantastic visual style. Everything he does, the production by all his movies are amazing. And this is just crying out for it. It might be a 2K DI because it's got so much special effects in it. It might not actually be native 4K. But can you imagine what the Atmos would sound on something like this? It'd be incredible. So just to give you something off the shelf, I'd like to see if Tron Legacy came out in 4K, I'd buy it. Pretty much. Would you agree? Do you like Tron Legacy, John?
Funny enough, I was looking at Tron and Tron Legacy the other day to actually watch again because with a new TV and the fact I've got my 4K player. And last time I seen Tron and Tron, I've not watched Tron since VHS, but I have got it on Blu-ray. And I thought, and I have seen the Tron Legacy on Blu-ray. I thought, you know what it is? It'd be good for me to look at them again with fresh eyes and see what they look like. I know what you're saying about the 2K DI.
Yeah.
The fact that it's quite effects heavy. That it will definitely improve.
The HDR will look great with all the neon, the costumes and stuff.
The sound as well. The sound, the whole whizzing around. I went to see Tron at the cinema, and it was one of those ones where you've seen like a huge movie comes out because it's a Disney one. Someone says you've never ever seen anything like this. When we saw clips of it, you couldn't believe what you're watching because you'd never ever physically seen that type of thing.
And you're talking about the original, John? You're talking about the original?
Yeah, 82, and we were, I don't know how old I was, but we were all really hyped up for this movie, thinking it was going to be the best thing he'd ever saw, and we were so disappointed. We just thought, it didn't really make sense to us on the first watch, and we just thought, what on earth was that about? So it was panned across everything. It was a huge flop.
Is that right? I didn't actually know it was a flop.
Nobody who saw it liked it in my sort of group, and it was just one of the ones where you just put in the bin and says, forget that. So, but these days it's become, when you look back on it, actually when I look back on it now, I've got a lot of love for it, for the fact that it did try something really out of the box, and it was land breaking. But I just think it's, if you can just take the fact that the story's a bit wonky, you can get through it a lot easier than, because I think when you're younger, you're more critical. You've got to be wowed as soon as you walk in that cinema, and if it's not wowing you, you start to throw one and all that type of thing, and start to shout at the screen with your mates. But no, it was a really big letdown. But on reflection now, yeah, I think those two should look stunning with the blue, the neon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even the original will look great as well. The HDR is going to be, the original might probably have a 4K. I'd imagine it'll be, obviously it's special effects laden, but it's a different process back then. So there's probably potential for that to have a native 4K. But it's really the HDR, isn't it, and the potential audio upgrade that would be the selling point for that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that, Paul. Good question, mate.
Yeah, very good question. But the Terminator, definitely.
Rock God 2004. John, have you heard anything else about Miss You, Hugs and Kisses coming out on Blu-ray?
I haven't, because that's a video nasty, a banned video nasty that apparently there's nothing in it. Nobody knows why it's banned. It's not really one of those banned movies. That's like really shocking. But I had heard it was coming out. It's one of the ones that's really hard to get, and it's coming out on Blu-ray. I think it's coming out on the end of the year, and I don't know who's releasing it. I think it's someone from the States is putting it out. Maybe Vinegar Syndrome, and it might be 88 over here, but I doubt it. So I think Vinegar Syndrome and 88 are working in cahoots these days. So you can normally tell if they've got something to do with it in the American, releasing Vinegar Syndrome, they maybe license it to 88 over here. So they do a bit of a kind of swap with it. So I haven't, unfortunately. I'd love to get a definite on it, but the fact that they're even talking about it, I do know it's coming out, but I think it was the end of the year. That's about it, really.
Cool. I don't have a lot of. I've never really seen many video nasties, but I'm quite intrigued. I see there's a big kind of thing for it on YouTube, but it's not my thing, so I'm not going to pretend. It might be something I get into later on, but I'm not going to start kidding on that I know about it or covering it. But who knows? Maybe in future. But I have been wanting to kind of ask you. So I notice you do quite a lot of the Dario Argento stuff, is it? Yeah. So I don't actually know. I because I'm in this space now and I'm in CX all the time, I see it all the time. But I don't think, to my knowledge, I've ever actually seen one, John, right? So I'll be saving this question for the stream. So it's what film? So what one film are you going to recommend for me to, or anyone else that's watching that doesn't know? What film would you send someone away to watch if they're trying to get into it?
Well, I tend to think, say, like, I think you'll think this yourself. Say if you're a big fan, like say Stallone, and you say to them, "What would you like to watch with Stallone?" And you say to them, "Go and watch Copland," and they'll come back. What was that? So you'd send them in one of the ones that you think was like a wow movie,
Rocky or Rambo or something like that, probably.
Rocky, Rambo, that type of thing. So you wouldn't give them "Stop or My Mom Will Shoot," because you think they'll say,
unless you really don't like them.
Yeah. So, so with Dario Argento, he's made some amazing. He had an amazing chunk of movies, a bit like John Carpenter, and then he kind of tailed off. So when he tailed off, I would never tell anyone to go next to them ones, even though there's a few good ones in there. You want to go to the real good stuff in the middle. So he started off in 1970, and he did these Giallo movies, which are more like whodunit, like suspense, the killer killing somebody, who's killing them, why they're killing them, and then there's a twist. That's a basic Giallo.
So Giallo movies. So where's that name? Is that like a structure, a story structure, Giallo kind of thing?
Well, Giallo is Italian for yellow, and what happens is there was these sort of pulp fiction books that were selling Italy. Were just like cheap, like things about like murder mystery books, and they were just all stood on a shelf. They're just like exploitation books in the 50s or whatever. So they were called Giallos. You would go and buy a Giallo and read it, and you would just get like a cheap thrill of a sort of murder mystery thing with a lot of killing in it and stabbing. So that was your Giallo. So when he started making movies like that, I think he wasn't the first one to make it, but he was one of the first ones to have a hit with it. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage in 1970. then he kind of started off the Giallo thing, and they just went crazy. It was like people knew it was going to sell, so the Italian market was flooded with Giallos. There's millions of them.
Right. So Giallo's like a subgenre kind of thing, exclusive to Italy. Right. Okay.
Kind of like, yeah, it's just like if you see it as like an Italian crime, like a crime movie, it's more like it's got a name for that. If you've got one that's like a slasher, there's a name for that. But your Giallos is like a murder mystery slasher thing. It's all got a similar thing where there's a kind of there's a mystery and a murder, and
they're quite violent, quite.
Yeah, there were a lot more that from being like the 60s to the 70s. This was like massive jump up in the violence stake, and I think that's what's opened the floodgates for a lot of violent movies, which led to the video nasty stuff because they just didn't know where to stop. They just put more and more over the top, and it was just getting more and more extreme till about 84 when it sort of got pushed back because it was like a big uprising in the UK especially. So for me, the answer would be, if you want to go into the best Giallo, if you want to take the best Giallo, and he did do a chunk of Giallos and then he stopped and then he went back to them. The best one is Deep Red for me. That has Deep Red has got everything you could want possibly in a Giallo. It's got like inept police who don't know what they're doing. You've got a bloke who saw something, but he doesn't know what he saw. He's been involved with the murder, but he hasn't been, and he's heard something or he's seen something. He thought, hang on, this doesn't make sense. And all the way through the movie, he's just trying to think, what have I seen? What have I heard? Now, the best thing about Deep Red is that you will, it's not a spoiler this, but you will go through the movie and you will see a train of events. And if you see it in a certain way, you will see it in a certain way. But if you don't see it in a certain way, you'll go that way with your viewing experience.
Right.
Or you'll go, if you see the thing that it's showing, you'll go the other way. So when I watched the first with my wife, I said, you've got to watch Deep Red. Now, I was watching her at that point to see if she saw. She didn't see it. So then her experience was a different experience to what she would have done if she'd seen it. That's all I'm saying. And that's not a spoiler.
Right. So pay attention. Is that what you're kind of saying then, or is it what mindset you have when you watch it? Is that what you're?
What I'm saying is you've got a great soundtrack. The soundtrack is brilliant by Goblin, who did Dawn of the Dead. So that's a winner for me. You've got some great acting in there. The only thing is though, if you see it, you need to see the shorter cut, not the longer cut. I think the longer cut puts a bit too much talking and a bit too much humour, and it kind of doesn't make the movie flow too good. The shorter cut, which is about 40 minutes shorter, or 10 minutes shorter, is much better, plays much better. So for me, that's your best Giallo. But the other ones, the first three, Burn the Crystal Plumage, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, and Cat and Nine Tails, they're called the Animal Trilogy because it's got animals in the title. All these Giallos have that sort of name, Bloodstained Butterfly, they've all got names like that.
Right.
And then if you want to watch like what I consider to be one of his best movies, Suspiria, which is like a sort of it's a bit like a sort of adult fairy tale, but I mean adult is more like violence. It's got that fairy tale look to it. It's like a kind of it's like a witch's coven, for want of a better word. That's the general thing of that. And then but Tenebrae has just come out. Tenebrae is another.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Giallo,
I've seen that one. It's been released.
That's amazing. So for me, if you're looking for a movie, get one between 1970 and always between 1970 and 1980.
What's Deep Red? Is that late 70s Deep Red?
75, slap bang.
Right. No, thanks for that also, mate, because it's one of the things I definitely wanted to ask you. So I thought you seem to know your stuff. You're obviously a fan of it. So
if you start,
I'll definitely get Deep Red. It's actually in CX. I don't know if it's the 4K. I think it's like I think it may be like the original Blu-ray release of it. But no, that sounds. I if nothing else, just to see one and go, right, what is that? So I at least know what these things are. And if I like it, then obviously I can go down the rabbit hole. If not, at least I know.
There's some great Giallos out there, apart from Dario Argento. Lucio Fulci does Giallos as well. So you'd be surprised that you can. I would, if I knew something was a Giallo, I'd watch it instantly. And usually I'm happy with it,
Aye. No, I'll definitely check it out. Thanks for filling us in with that, mate. Catch up with some of these comments. Last chance, Ches. Good evening, guys. How you doing, mate?
Hi, Ches.
Ches is saying, picked up the first 2 seasons of HBO show The Deuce yesterday. Is that the one with Everybody Loves Raymond, isn't it? That's when I'm sure he was in it. Although I'm disappointed the third and final season is not available in physical format anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit shit when they do it. I'm trying. Stranger Things has done that, hasn't it? As well, they released seasons 1 and 2 in that cool VHS packaging, and then they've just left us hanging with season 3, and we'll probably never. So yeah, it's totally sympathise. Like, I don't really collect TV series as such, not yet anyway. But do you collect TV series, John?
I think I collect TV comedy ones, and to be honest, the ones not thinking this, but the things I've collected from kind of yesteryear, they've just disappeared from the telly. They're never on the telly now, so the great have in the collection. You can just say, I'll just have a look at that, go back and watch things like Ali G and just mad stuff. You just never see them,
That's why he's disappeared. It's like, see Ali G and Little Britain and all that. No, I appreciate, like, I totally understand why the cancel culture got a hold of them, but I don't think they were made with any malice.
No, at all.
But yeah, that's just what happens now, isn't it? The cancel culture comes along, and like, you do not see Little Britain anywhere now. You don't see it like in the on any streaming platforms or Ali G and that. It's all been kind of like, they've tried to kind of like erase it from the history books, haven't they? But I just think that's silly. There's got to be. Yeah. These things have to exist in order for us to kind of understand, that whole movement, that whole transition. If you take those ones away, then there's like kind of like there's a gap in the culture, if that makes sense. But
I think as well. I think people, when they hear things that are up from a time, or they hear like words used, they automatically think that everything about that show is racist, when it's not. It's just its time, and they've got to understand that. And when I watched them, I never thought about any sort of racist thoughts when I was watching them. I just thought it was just a humorous thing, the Little Britain. I never ever thought that. I thought, oh, these two are racist. It was never in my mind. So I think that a lot of people pick on something it's not there for the wrong reason, I think.
But it's definitely a big plus point of cancel culture is a serious and realistic thing. It's something we have to live with in 2022 and beyond. So I think it's a big plus point for physical media.
Yeah,
it's what happens, isn't it? It's like, even I know you can't get these shows that I'm about to talk about on physical yet, but the Winter Soldier is a good example. So the Winter Soldier came out on Disney Plus, and I would say have you watched the Disney Plus shows, John?
I've seen some, yeah.
The Winter Soldier anyway was probably the most kind of serious and violent, I would say, of all the ones they've done so far. Apparently they went back and to keep it more in keeping with the kind of, because that was one of the first ones they did, I think. They brought it down a bar to kind of keep it more content-wise, more in keeping with everything else. So they digitally removed like blood and stuff to make it less violent. So you'll not, but because they never released it in physical, that's lost now. So Disney have changed that. Nobody's, unless you've like found some way to record it, it's gone. So I definitely think physical media is good in that regard. You buy something as it was before anyone has a chance to cancel it or change it. That's a big selling point for physical media. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, good point.
Total movie recall. Would love to see a 4K release of Aliens. Yeah, I think we'd all love to see a 4K release of Aliens. That documentary I just covered there on my channel, the In Search of Tomorrow, Creator VC, they're about to do their first deep dive into one specific film. It's called Aliens Expanded. So if you're choking for the 4K and it's not here yet, then at least you can check out that Aliens Expanded. I'll definitely be checking that one out, mate. Just your comment. Last chance, Ches. Are there any TV shows or movies you wish got a physical release but never did? Put that to you first, John.
I think looking at that, there's got to be definitely some TV shows that I remember. See that getting back to what you're saying before, there's a few ones that I used to watch in the 70s, and they were like, maybe there's nothing meant by them, but maybe in today's culture they would seem wrong, so they would just, like, if they want to release them now, they would never ever get released. So it would be a problem to say, like, oh, I wanted a such and such released, and you think it's never ever going to see a release now. At this point, I'm hoping it's going to turn the corner and we're going to get back to a bit of normality, and we're going to move away from that so that these shows can come out. And I think if we even put a warning on them, just to say, look, this was filmed in 1977, and it's got some things you might find offensive, but it's up to you, And I think people can make their own mind up about that and they choose if they want to be offended or not. And if they think they might be offended about it, they wouldn't go near it. But TV shows and movies, I think actually, I'll tell you what, I did buy the first season of Rent a Ghost, believe it or not. And I don't know if you remember, that was a kids' TV program back in the day.
Right.
Remember that?
When are we talking? Like,
I think it started off in, it's got to be in the 70s. I think
probably not. Unless it's been a rerun, I'll probably not remember it now.
It ran for, it was quite a really well-known one back in the day, and you had like the theme tune and all that, which was a great theme tune. And I got the first series on Network, released it, and then it went out of print, so you can't get it anywhere. And they were going to release the rest of them, but they never did. So I'd like to see a box set of Rent a Ghost, which is it's a definite nostalgia trip for me. But I think some of the TV shows you used to watch when you were a kid, that just, I think they might even, I'm trying to think of things like, I'm trying to think what they were, like, you know, I'm not going to say the likes of, there was a thing called Paulus the Gnome, which I used to watch when I was like, literally, the first thing I ever saw on TV is a black and white thing called Paulus the Gnome. Now, or maybe even the clangers, but maybe there might be a sort of a little thing in there that's just not going to sit right with people. I'm not saying there is, but then it won't get released. So I would like all this stuff to be coming out. Nobody looking at it too hard and say, hang on a minute, that clang is offensive because of this. And you think, oh, just let it go, you know. So yeah, just sort of old stuff that that could possibly be cancelled, and I just hope it wouldn't be. I would have to say, although I can't think of too many off my head, mate.
That's a good question. I'm glad you're here, mate, because you're of a certain vintage to me. So there's probably more stuff that you've seen that hasn't made it, whereas I think most of the stuff for me growing up kind of has survived. Although somebody can maybe answer, but see all the old animated stuff I watched in the kind of late 80s and the 90s, like there was some stuff like Centurions, and I'm trying to think what else there was. He-Man's a bit obvious, but you know, like there's a lot of kind of 90s stuff that's kind of escaping me now, other than the Centurions. But I don't know if that stuff ever came to like DVD and Blu-ray. But that's something I'd be keen to kind of check out again. This has just popped into my head randomly there. But do you remember something I was growing up that I used to watch was, do you remember Space Precinct? It was a
yes.
90s. Did that ever come to DVD or Blu-ray? It was like the guy that did Stingray and the one it was, what's his name again? Jerry Anderson. It was a Jerry Anderson show, wasn't it?
Yes.
Sting. It didn't take off. I think it totally flopped. But I was the right age to be totally captivated. It was probably the early days of me loving sci-fi, and it was, you know, like these kind of space cops and the aliens, and I kind of got sucked in by that world. But maybe I would look into that if I seen that in a charity shop or something on DVD. I'd pick it up.
You're probably looking at VHS for stuff like that.
Probably.
You probably find all that type of thing on VHS. In fact, there's a few VHS that I had that I put onto, you know, when you've got like a VHS and you record from VHS to DVD, I've got one of them players that will do that.
Right.
So I did that, and I've got a few shows that came on the TV and stuff like that, and you never, ever see them, but they were so good and so funny. But they're just like literally, I don't even know who owns them anymore, like Channel 4 stuff. And so I've got a few on disc, which nobody would ever even remember. There's one called Set of Six. It's supposed to be these sextuplets who got split up at birth. They had a big problem at one of the birthday parties, and all went their separate ways. And I told you about what these 6 kids got up to when they grew up. And they were called, the family name was called the Scroats. That was, and there was like a boxer, and there was a politician. There was a fellow who was a medical, he was what's he called? A doctor. When you would go on Jonathan Ross, you know, this was a brilliant show. And in fact, I remember I had it, and this fellow got in touch with us who was like a bit of a designer in sort of these weird sort of like, he designs chairs and stuff like that. And I think he's really well to do now, and he lives in Japan, and he asked us for these things to send it. I think it was on some kind of you know, on some kind of, what was it, on Channel 4 teletext. You could actually teletext people about
teletext. Remember that teletext?
And we're talking about this show, and this lad got in touch with us and says, "Oh, can you send it to me, this thing?" So he sent us some stuff over, some of his designer stuff, and for this copy of Set of Six from 1990. So I would love that one to come on. Actually, that would be great. But it's so obscure. I just don't think we'll ever. Has anyone ever heard in the comments down here? Has anybody heard of Set of Six? Yeah.
I think we knocked that one at the park with some proper obscure titles there, John. So well done, mate. Right, moving on to where are we? There's quite a few ones came up. I'll try and get through a few here. So, Koro, The Girl Who Knew Too Much, Bava is considered to be the first true Giallo. After watching that, go for influential Blood and Black Lace. I'll take a wee note of them as well, mate.
Blood and Black Lace on 4K would look stunning on the Blu-ray, Arrow Blu-ray. It looks unreal. And The Girl Who Knew Too Much actually hadn't behind us today. I was looking at it. And I picked it up and thought, I even thought to myself, oh yeah, that's the first one. That's the first Giallo, black and white, but
right. Nice. So is that like a late 60s then, maybe early 70s?
I think it's about actually maybe 63.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So with Rico, big fan of Suspiria, but mainly from a visual point of view. Great colour in the film. Yeah. I think he's got a question for you coming up here, mate. We'll just try and get to it. Rock God, yeah, Deep Red is a great film. I think my favourite Argento film is Tenebrae. That's the one that's just came out, The one that's just got a 4K release. Absolutely love Phenomena. That's the one with Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasance, isn't it?
Yes.
I covered that. I do that forecast thing on the channel where I just cover everything that's coming out. And I'm starting to feel increasingly more and more embarrassed because every time an Argento film comes out, I've got to say, no, I don't watch Argento, and I feel like a total fraud. So I need to address it. So after tonight, that's it. I'm going to start about it. Suspiria is just outright weird, and for me, vastly overrated. Is that a hot take? Is it?
It's funny because I think me and Nigel have had this conversation before about the fact that I personally think Suspiria is amazing, but I can understand if somebody, especially if you after a certain thing from it and it doesn't deliver on that, it's not really a Giallo in any way, shape, or form. So I can imagine people going from Deep Red, his previous film, which I think is the zenith of that was when Giallo was at its height for me in the mid 70s. And then they went to Suspiria in 77. People would have thought, what on earth is this all about? So yeah, it is it's more like one of those ones where they did these like arty type of ones. It's visually stunning. I do think the story's good, but the story's a bit secondary to actually what you see. I'll tell you what, if you get the 4K from Synapse, you'll never ever see a horror film with colours like it. And that's the truth. Yeah.
No, definitely. That sounds. I quite like things that are a bit quirky and a bit of an offshoot from the norm. So, and if Tom Vico likes it, chances are I'll like it. So if it's a double vote from you and him, then the only two drummers I know, then I'll go for it.
Well, you see, the drummers know best. You see, that's what.
That's it. So he's got a question for you here. Have you seen the remake of Suspiria, John? Haven't myself, but it's on the shelf to watch.
Well, weirdly enough, I was never going to watch it because to me, the Suspiria should never be touched. But then when I heard it was a bit of a reimagining of Suspiria and it wasn't a sequel, it wasn't a remake, I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. And to be honest, I put the first 10 minutes on that. Couldn't watch any more, mainly because the start of the movie is just this last screaming, crying. And it just got me nerves that much. I thought, I can't watch any more of this. So I turned it off. So I maybe turned off. A lot of people who like it. And they say, oh, it's really good. You've got to give it a second chance. But I thought I couldn't put up with any more of it. So weirdly enough, it's one of the rare films I've turned off. So, and I don't feel the need to go back for it. But Suspiria for me is, because I'm not kidding, it's so much of a stunning thing to look at that you can get through anything that is in that movie. But it's not, I think it does make sense. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's very dreamlike in parts.
Right. No, it sounds interesting. That and Deep Red, I think that's the two that I'm going to definitely watch in the near future. The View with Drew, who is your favourite actor playing a superhero? Mine is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Thoughts on that, John?
Well, that's probably one of my top picks as well. Wolverine.
Yeah, he's up there, isn't he? He's got to be. If you're talking about, if you had to do a top 5 of like actors to play a superhero, I don't think you would grudge anyone of putting Hugh Jackman in there in the top 5.
I do think I've got a soft spot mainly through nostalgia for Christopher Reeve playing Superman, because he was like my Superman. We went to pictures to see that, and it sounds daft when you've never seen anything like it, but you see, you can now, the tagline was, you can now believe a man can fly. And you were sitting there in the cinema and you were watching somebody flying and you were like, I can't believe he's actually flying. There's no CGI obviously in it. But you were seeing him just taking off from the ground, and you were just mesmerised by this thing. So I've got to say, Christopher Reeve and Superman. Well, the first three Supermans was just great, I think.
Yeah, I think he's one of the few. Like, well, I suppose Michael Keaton would be in that category as well, but one of the few legacy super actors to play a superhero that it still looks. You know, you see a picture of him now. Actually, it was on Facebook the other day, and it was like a promotional shot of him. I can't remember one of the many movie things that I follow on Facebook, and he was standing on some hotel in New York. Purely, he hadn't even started filming yet. It was just a promotional shot, and I just thought, you know, he just looks every bit as good in that picture from like the 70s as like Henry Cavill does. I know he's not got the build and the physique, but he still captures, you know, the essence of what. There's just something totally pure about Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
You know, there's not.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes some people have a look and aesthetic about them that you just don't think there's a bad bone in their body, and I think Christopher Reeve's a guy that kind of gives that off more so, I would say, than what Henry Cavill does. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think he knocked. I mean, when you grew up on the Superman comics like I did, he was like literally used to look. He was like the most person who looked like Superman than anyone you'd ever seen before, any human. Because you never really seen anyone playing Superman. You had seen the black and white TV series, which was didn't even look anything like Superman to me. But Christopher Reeve did sort of nail it in one go. So you already sold before you even watched the movie.
I think for me, Superman's an honourable mention. I used to have all the films on DVD. I don't have now. Like I say, rebooting, I've not actually got them. So I know you can get the first one in 4K, but I've deliberately been kind of holding off in case there ends up being a kind of 4K box set or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I used to have the Donner cut and all that on DVD of the second one and stuff. But yeah, for me, just kind of similar to you, John, just because I was like 16 when these films came out, 16, 17, it'd probably be Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. You know, that was, and it's purely because it was such an influential age to me. I mean, it's great. I'm still a big kid at heart, and you know, all these, I still love all the MCU stuff, and I like to see superheroes getting reinvented and all that. But seeing like, I suppose you're saying you will believe a man can fly. It was like you will believe a man can crawl up walls for me, if that makes sense. It was like,
yeah.
Watching Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire play Spider-Man for me was pretty awesome. So I don't necessarily think he's the best, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's the best actor to play them now. I think Garfield's the best actor, and I think Tom Holland's the best of both. But I think Tobey Maguire, from the nostalgia thing, will be my kind of favourite superhero. I have to say that's played.
Yeah,
superhero.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I think that's a great Spider-Man trilogy. Although there should have been another one.
Yeah, and we all know it's been. If you watch any YouTube videos, you'll know, like, you know, it wasn't really Sam Raimi's fault or anyone's fault. Behind the creative side, anyway, with 3, it was a lot of studio interference and stuff. But yeah, still good films. Even the third one. Chris Kyle, my good mate, Chris Kyle. RDJ from me, he is Tony Stark. Yeah, he's a great shout as well. Like
that's good. Yeah,
I
couldn't imagine anybody playing Tony Stark.
No. That's what I was just going to say. There's few people that have played superheroes where, you know, the majority of people are happy to probably retire. I think maybe Hugh Jackman's a bit like that. Like if a character had to be retired on an actor, there's few that you would give that honour to. Maybe like Robert Downey Jr., Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It was like we're never going to see them again. It's staying with them. A bit like Indiana Jones, like Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. I think they're in that kind of like camp that, you know, they can take the match ball home with them in a sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely.
Rock God 2004. So he's Nige, isn't it? Sorry, I keep calling him by his YouTube handle. Question for both of you: what is your favourite film of all time of any genre? Mine is Jaws. Love Nige. What's yours then, John?
My favourite film is Down by Law, which is 1986 movie by a fellow called Jim Jarmusch, who's still around, still directing.
Oh, Jim Jarmusch. He started off doing like music videos, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he did this amazing movie. It took a long time to become my favourite movie. I saw it and thought it was great, and it kind of lingered in the top 10 for a bit. But it's just grown. For a lot of years ago, it became my favourite one. But that's what I like about the fact it's so like, how can I put it? It's like an indie movie. It's black and white. It's from 1986, so it looks spectacular. It's got a fella called Robbie Mueller, who did the cinematography, who's one of the best cinematographers ever. And
Right.
so that it looks spectacular. It's got Tom Waits, who acts in it, but his music's in there. So you've got him singing some 3 songs in it. And then there's only three characters in it. You've got Tom Waits, you've got a fellow called Roberto Benigni, who's been in quite a few movies, actually. I think he was in, what's that one called, where they're in the concentration camp? Life is Sweet, I think it's called. Not Life is Sweet. Life is Beautiful, I think it is.
Oh, yeah. All right,
Yes.
yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
But I haven't watched that. I think it's been too
I haven't
much
seen
for
it, but I know the film you're talking about, yeah.
So he's in it. There's another fellow called John Lurie, and they get framed and put in this jail in New Orleans, and it's just about them getting out of jail. Nothing to it, but it's like just them talking, just banter. But it's I just think it's absolutely brilliant. So it's really weird because it's nothing like anything in my top 10. Jaws is in there, yeah. Suspiria's in there. They're all in there, but just for some reason, Down by Law just tops the whole lot.
Do you watch it? Do you watch it often? Is it one you revisit? Like,
well, funny enough, I don't watch it that often. I do know that it's just come out on. I had the Criterion American one, which I can't put on my 4K player because it's not region free. But I've got the region. It's just come out now on Criterion in the UK, so I went and got that one. So I've got them both, so I can now put it on my 4K player. So I'm waiting for a time that I can sit down with it. About an hour and 40 minutes, so it's quite an easy watch. I want it to be pitch black, so for the black and white thing to really, come to life. And I'm going to sit and watch that. So it's high massive to watch this, but I think when I watch that on there, I think I'll probably watch it maybe once a year now. Go back to watching it. Yeah,
I'll definitely check it out. Is it? Remind me of the title. Down by
Low.
Down by Low. I watched a video. I think it was your top 10 of all time. A few months ago now. I think Elephant Man was on there, wasn't it? Right high up.
Yeah, Elephant Man.
Because I remember when you said the number one, I was like, what? That's a really obscure one. But no, I'll definitely check it out if you think it's. I think of it that highly, but no. For me, it's a simple. It's almost
the look of it. That's what I would say. The look of it's great. Yeah.
Right. I think I've only ever seen one Jim Jarmusch film, and it's the one with Johnny Depp in the mid-90s. It was like in a Western. What's that one called again? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's called Dead Man.
Dead Man, that's it. Yeah, I can't even remember anything about it now. I just remember watching it. Because my uncle was right into Jim Jarmusch.
I haven't watched it yet.
All right. Yeah. I know he's done that one. There's one that's been on my watch list for ages, the one with Forrest Whitaker. It's a Ghost Dog. Something to do with samurai, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't. Ghost Samurai, I think it's called.
Ghost Samurai. Apparently, that's excellent. It's got a bit of a cult following, so I need to
watch it as well. But yeah, there's a few of us I haven't watched, but he's a great director.
Yeah, he did one with Bill Murray recently, didn't he?
Yeah,
he did Broken Flowers, which I actually really enjoyed. It was it was the next film that he did after Lost in Translation. Do you know what it's about? No, it's worth a watch. Do you like Bill Murray?
Yes, I like him. I like him when I like him, and I don't like him when I. You know what I mean? He's not someone that I watch. I like all of his movies. If that makes sense.
I think it's an underrated one. It's probably one that's slipped under a lot of people's radar now. Because Lost in Translation at the time kind of put him back in the map. Yeah. And then this was the first thing he did, which I think was a success, but not as much of a success as Lost in Translation. But he basically plays this kind of middle-aged guy who, for one reason or another, I can't remember if he's just separated from his wife or something, but he takes it upon himself to go back and visit every woman in his life that he's wronged. So he just turns up at their door. He's maybe not seen them for like 20, 30 years, and they're all at different stages, and he has, and you only find out how he's kind of wronged them as he rocks up at the door. And obviously each one reacts in a totally different way. So it's a kind of like one of these kind of almost like midlife crisis, taking care of business, soul searching kind of films, and with the deadpan humour of Bill Murray. But it's definitely worth, if you like Jim Jarmusch and you like Bill Murray, I would definitely.
What's that title? That one called?
It's called Broken Flowers. I think it came out in 2005, maybe.
I'll definitely watch that. That sounds excellent. I like that.
I'll send you a wee message after it.
Yeah, brilliant. That sounds excellent. It does.
it's definitely worth a watch. I think it might have quite a good soundtrack as well, but don't quote me on that. It's a while since I've seen it. But right, okay, where was I've been deleting a lot of spam, John, so I kind of lost.
Right.
Where either of you watched the trip? Miles back.
The thing is, the scammers, I hope they subscribe to your channel. It'd be cheap if they didn't.
I know, between people spoiling and people trying to have sex with me, I'm so busy here.
Yeah. We're always saying who's going to be the one who clicks on one of them links, as if
I know.
Oh, that's a good link to click on.
I think it doesn't help. See, because my channel's called Electric Geek, I just think they think straight away, oh, this guy's a geek, so he must be like sex starved, so they just start spamming it like. Sorry if I've missed ones out. I'm trying to work out where I am. Like Chris Kell, I've got a bit of a DVD collection of Brit comedy myself. One I have that very rarely graces the telly now, but is an absolute classic, is some Mullers Do Have 'Em class. Mullers Do Have 'Em, that was, is that Frank Skinner? Not Frank Skinner, obviously.
Frank Spencer.
Frank Spencer, Frank Spencer.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
Is that the famous one where he's hanging off the bus and all that?
Yeah. He's the most accident-prone bloke you'll ever meet in your life. And he's got every ailment going, because he's like a real mummy's boy as well, because when he gets with his wife, Betty, and they're sort of doing stuff, and she wants him to be like quite successful, and he's trying to go for all these jobs, and he fails in every single one. And when he's quite sort of innocent in a way, because people say things to him and he takes it in the wrong way, and he's like he's nearly sort of, if people say, oh, like a double entendre to him, he takes it the wrong way and all that, and he's nearly crying on some of the bits, but it's hilarious, man. But back in the day, that was the one that everyone used to watch.
Everyone watched it.
Yeah, brilliant.
I can't remember it. It's one that I remember, like my mum and dad. What my dad said, oh, Frank Spencer's fantastic. Did funny. But I was probably just a little bit too young. But I found out obviously years later that he is the original Phantom from Phantom the Opera, Michael Crawford, which is I think that's mental to be known as like this kind of slapstick daft comedy character, to then all of a sudden just take the stage in what's became one of the most famous like West End musicals ever. But I love Phantom the Opera. I love it. I've seen it down in London.
All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen it yourself? No,
I haven't. No, it's not one. I'm not a big musical fan. I am, but I'm not. Anything that hits like Broadway and stuff like that, I'm not really interested in for some reason.
I'm not. I like a show. I'm not by any means any kind of like connoisseur when it comes to theatre. I'd like to see more, but I stay in Ayrshire, so there's nowhere really near to go to these places. But
yeah, I know what you're saying.
If you would Drew, which action movie character do you like more than Terminator, John McClane, Neo, or Indiana Jones, and how would you rank them?
Probably
go this one. Are you ready?
Yeah, I would definitely say Terminator first, although the films aren't the best, some of them. And I would say probably John McClane second, and I would say Neo's good. I'll probably say Neo. I'll probably put them in that order. And strange enough, I had Indiana Jones at the bottom. Now, we may think that's a bit weird, but the fact is, I like the Indiana Jones movies, but I don't really like. I'd like them. I appreciate them, but I don't really ever watch them. They're not a thing that I go back to, strangely enough. Although I'm a big fan of everyone who's had something to do with it. It's just not something I visit that much. The only one I really would watch again is the third one, which is a bit strange. Yeah. I'm not saying the rubbish or anything like that at all. Aye. It's just something that I think that sort of action adventure thing was never really my thing when I look back on it.
See, that's my kind of thing. So I'd probably be the complete opposite there for you, John. Just I'd probably go with Indiana Jones first, just because he's that kind of lovable rogue. I like the idea that Indiana Jones is a guy who doesn't really. He's a clever guy, isn't he? As a character, he's an archaeologist, but I feel like he goes out in these adventures and he's always that little bit out of his depth. Like he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's not really thinking about his own safety. So that's how he gets into all these his adventures are exciting, thrilling, because he just kind of makes things up as he goes. So I like probably Indiana Jones and John McClane. I'd probably have kind of tied, maybe just again because he's like the underdog, isn't he? He's like the guy that's kind of like he represents the everyman. That was why the Die Hard films are so successful. Just when you're saying what character do you like, so I'm thinking of them as characters, as opposed to how iconic they are or whatever. And I'd probably put maybe Neo next and then Terminator last, just because Terminator's just a robot. Don't get me wrong, I think the Terminator films are great, But he's just a robot that like that hunts people down. So I wouldn't say he has huge amounts of character, albeit I appreciate in the next ones when he gets more human and all that than I. But so that's my ranking. But no, that's interesting question, mate. Cheers. Evening, gents. First time visiting. Thanks to John. Maybe this guy is it? Do you know this fella?
Yeah, he comes. He might have been on Keith's first, and he's come across to me very recently and been chatting in the comments and stuff. So great for coming across. Thanks for watching. But yeah, got some great comments on my channel from Al Roots. I'm going to say I'm not too sure.
I was waiting to go at it.
I know Keith knows your name, and we're talking about it on the stream. The fact that it's nice to know people's names, and I wouldn't want to say your name because I've got a few in my mind that I think you could be called. But I don't want to say it because I'll probably get it wrong. But it's funny when you're on the channel and you're hearing a lot of comments, and you kind of sometimes you think, oh, is that name from that person? It's yeah. Keith was saying as well. He said it's quite. Sometimes you do want to say to people, "What's your name?" But you don't know if it's the people.
Well, some people want to kind of remain anonymous, don't they? You don't know if that's the whole point of their kind of handle. But no, welcome aboard, mate. Welcome anytime. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate the comment. Right, through all the spam. Right, okay, Chris Kell. Favorite movie in the music biog genre? I'd have to say either Spinal Tap or Control for me. I would agree. I'm a big Joy Division fan, so I'm going to cop out here and just say Control. What about yourself, John?
Well, getting back to Control, how good was the fella in it who played Ian Curtis?
He's awesome. What's his name again?
I can't remember his name at all. But he was like
Sam something.
Yeah, he was literally. He looked like him more than Ian Curtis looked like him. I thought, God, he's nailed it, and all his mannerisms and everything. So Control is a amazing. But Spinal Tap, I was looking at that today actually. I think that's a great. I saw it on TV. I've never got sick of watching that thing. I think it's great. I think I like this. The Sex Pistols films, Grey Rock and Roll Swindle, which is a bit of a mess, but I just like it for nostalgia reasons because I watched it that many times back in the day.
Would you expect the Sex Pistols movie to be anything other than a mess, though? Given that it's they're chaotic, aren't they?
I think it had about 4 different directors, and it was just a complete shambles. But I like it because it was that, and it's so not.
I think you got into that. I think you're a bit of a fan of punk. Was that the kind of movement that you?
Oh yeah, big fan of punk. As soon as it come out, and as soon as I knew what it was in about '78, that's just what we used to do. Just go dress up like punks and just look like when I had hair. It was all over the place. And,
can't imagine you were here saying that. I've gone the same way as you.
Well, it was. I'm sure I've got pictures of it somewhere with this. Everyone was just having stupid haircuts. Used to dye it and stuff like that. It was a mess. And you had all these stupid t-shirts on and all that, and you had dog collars, chains, and massive boots. So we used to go on like that for years. So yeah, punk was a huge thing for us. So the Sex Pistols was just something I just lived and breathed for years until I sort of grew out of it, I would say. And then keyboards came along, Kraftwerk and all that, and I was, just into Depeche Mode and the thing, OMD.
Mid to late 80s into the kind of New Order and all that.
New Order, yeah. Funny enough, I wasn't into Joy Division until I got in the New Order. And then everyone said, what about Joy Division? I go, oh, I didn't really know that. I thought they're 2 different bands. I didn't know it was the same band to start off with.
I suppose, well, obviously it was before my time, but when I was kind of like hitting, it was the kind of early, when I was like 18, 19 and getting into music and finding out about different stuff, I think Control came out in 2005 and I was just kind of getting into Joy Division, so it was pretty awesome for me, someone that was just discovering it and enjoying it, that in tandem, people that have loved Joy Division for decades have finally got a movie kind of thing, whereas I just started liking it and then it was like, boom, here's this movie all about it. So that kind of enhanced my love of it, watching, albeit it's a sad movie, obviously. But it's brilliant though, and the soundtrack, and like you say, the performance is awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm, however, a massive David Bowie fan. David Bowie, kind of glam rock, that's the kind of stuff that I like modern stuff as well, but when I was like 18, 19, that's what I loved. Bowie, T-Rex, Velvet Underground, Lou Reed, all that, that's kind of what I'm into. So just, we've not had one, we had one like last year or something that was panned because they tried to do a Bowie movie, but they couldn't. The family didn't actually want to sell the rights. They weren't on board with it. They tried to make it anyway, and it was totally panned. But I think that's something that would. I mean, if we can get a movie about Elton John and what's his name, Freddie Mercury, how awesome would a proper movie about the potential with David Bowie? You know, like his career and how creative he was and stylistic. I think there's an Academy Award winning movie in the future for Bowie. So Control is a great film, but I'd love to see a film about David Bowie.
Well, when you think about David Bowie getting from like the mid 60s, so you've only got 15 years, right? You're going to tell 15 years of his life. You've got him starting off as that sort of like mod as Davy Jones.
Yeah.
You've got that little thing, then you've got him sort of navigating in the Space Oddity era where he started to grow his hair and look a bit like odd.
Like a woman.
Yeah, there's just not anything like that.
The man who sold the world and Rocky Dory and all that.
And then he went into the Ziggy Stardust, and then he went into Aladdin Sane, and he went. It took me ages to realise that Aladdin Sane is a lad insane. I'm thinking.
I think I know that. You've just kind of reminded me of it.
Yeah,
there's so much to Bowie. Like, I've actually got a book that I read to my girls because I'm trying to get them on the Bowie train early, and it's kind of like David Bowie's life, but broken down for a kid to understand.
All right.
And even I should put it on Instagram or something. It is cool. Even like reading it to them, it's even reading the kids' version. It's still amazing. You're like, my God, like this guy's life, and it even covers the thing about the eye and all that. You know how he ended up getting the fight with his pal George at school and getting the discoloured eye and all that. But no, it's really cool. But yeah,
I agree.
15-year span of Bowie, like the potential's endless, isn't it? And then like stylistically or the look of Bowie. I know we're going on a tangent here. Sorry, I'm indulging myself in Bowie here, but I kind of liked his late 70s. You know, when you get into all the kind of, you know, the Berlin trilogy, like Low and Heroes and Lodger. I like that look, that famous shot of him with the fag and like the slick orange hair from Low, and that was the kind of, that's my favourite kind of Bowie look. But yeah, I love David Bowie. And I haven't seen all of his films. I've seen some of them, but I really want to get a hold of, I've seen Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence before. So I want to get a hold of that, and I really want to see The Hunger, the Tony Scott one. I've not seen The Hunger, so I'm thinking about picking that up in the
a lot of years ago. Yeah.
The HMV sale. It's in there now, the 2 for 15. So I think that'll be coming to a pickup video on the channel, no doubt.
No, he's just a final thing for me. He's absolutely stunning. And my favourite album of all time is Ziggy Stardust by Bullets. So there you go.
I'd probably say it's hard to argue with that, isn't it, Ziggy Stardust? I think his style's so difficult. He's so widespread as his musical style that to pick one album, you're robbing yourself of all the different incarnations. But I get what you're saying. It's so like iconic. The Ziggy Stardust or Aladdin Sane are just like every track on it's awesome. But I think the one I found myself listening to the most actually was Heroes, even though that's got so much instrumental stuff on it towards the end. But Low and Heroes are the ones albums that I found myself listening to the most. But I really liked the stuff he did later on. I really liked the last couple of albums he did. Anyway,
his last album was brilliant.
Yeah, Black Star and the one before it, The Next Day. Enjoyed those as well.
The next, yeah.
Nige, John, Down My What is your favourite film? I just want to know the name of it again. Whatever you said, I've heard of it. I hope you're going to be watching us on Tuesday night, Andy. John forced me into it, and I'm pooing my thumb.
If
it makes you feel better, mate, then I'll watch. Honestly, it's not that bad once you get started.
Yeah, well, that's it. When we talked about it to do it, he's not done a live stream before on YouTube, although he's got a channel, and he's thinking about starting some stuff off. I just said, well, let's do this as a live stream. We're going to do maybe as a video sort of thing, but it says let's do a live stream and do a live stream about, because when we're talking, we've talked a few times together on StreamYard, but not just offline.
No, actually, recording.
Yeah, and we've done a lot. We've talked on this. We realise we've got a lot in common. So we've got a lot. We've talked a lot about it. We just thought, we'll do a live stream. So, but yeah, we just said, look, we're going to do it, and it took a while to get round to it. Get the right days and all that, and dates. But it's finally coming up. So I think it'll be great. And so the film was Down by Law, LAW. That's
all right. Law, right? I thought you said Down by Low. Is it right? Cool.
It's my accent, man. You have to be posh.
We're probably not the best YouTubers to be doing a live stream, mate, between my thick Scottish accent and your. See, I had a mate. I used to work with a guy who was from Sunderland, right, and he really didn't like getting called a Geordie, and I didn't even know this was a thing. So, are you a Geordie, or are you? Is it a Mac?
Yeah,
Is it a Mackie?
Mackham.
Mackham's like the other one, isn't it?
If you've got the town, if you're on the north side of the town, closer to you, you're a Geordie. That's
Right.
what we'll call it. So I was born on this side. I was born in Wallsend, so that's
Right.
I'm a Geordie. And if you're over the other side of the water, getting south of the river, you're a Mackham. You know, the Sunderland, especially Sunderland. But if you go a bit further down into like St Middlesbrough, you're called like a Smoggy.
Right.
But we sound the same, but we're not the same. You know, like Paul, he's not a Mackham, but he's got Paul 4K chef. He's got more of a Sunderland accent. Or he's from like Hartlepool area. I think it's Hartlepool. So you can tell it's a different twang to us, but it might be the same for you. Sometimes I can see a Glaswegian is different to a Edinburgh for me. You know, like the still game accent is like pure Glaswegian.
That's proper Glasgow, aye. See,
yeah.
Ayrshire's, see, I'm from Ayrshire, so it's very similar to how Glaswegians speak. But we're all, obviously, it's more rural in Ayrshire, so that there's a lot more kind of like, it's all mining towns and farmland and that. So there's definitely little words and stuff that it's probably similar to the subtleties you're talking about. Like, unless you're from Ayrshire or Glasgow, someone from England watching this probably would mistake me for a Glaswegian, but a Glaswegian watching will know that I'm maybe from Ayrshire kind of thing. But Glasgow and Edinburgh are totally different. You know, the whole train spotting, the train spotting accent compared to like the still game is like, even anyone can pick that one up. But what is the one, Chris Carroll, what is the one movie in your collection that everyone tells you is shite, but you love beyond all reason or doubt? State your case for why it's so good. John? You found you have a few shite movies, but you've got hundreds of movies in your videos behind you.
I like bad movies, you know that. I've just been watching one today, The Treasure of the Ninja, which is awful, but it's such a good movie. I'm having such a blast with it. I've got about half an hour to watch. Can't wait to finish it off. It's funny because there's a few movies that a lot of people like. Some people say that some of the horror movies I like are absolute rubbish, but they don't really like Italian horror. They might say, well, the dubbing's bad in it, or the effects aren't that good, or the story's not good, the acting's not that good. Like Zombie 3, for instance, everyone said it's awful, but I think it's a great movie, which is the sequel to Zombie Flesh Eaters. It's very complicated, this one. But it's a Lucio Fulci movie that's not really made by him, and it's a sequel to Zombie Flesh Eaters, because it's sometimes called Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, but it's actually called Zombie 3, because Zombie was called Zombie 2, and Dawn of the Dead was called Zombie. This is all in Italy. Anyway, the stream could be what the Zombie. There's two Zombie 3s as well. I'm not talking about Burial Ground, because that's not Zombie 3 to me. But anyway, I do think that Zombie 3 is a great movie to me, but a lot of people think it's utter rubbish. And there is a lot of bad things in it, but I don't mind that. I can give it a lot of. Do you find that if you've got like a movie that you like, say like a genre or an action film that's a bit cheesy or a little bit hammy, you would give it, you could say, well, I really enjoy, someone says rubbish because that's over the top. You would say, well, I enjoy it, but I understand what you're saying, but I enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, I think if you like a genre, so I like action, adventure, and sci-fi. So I'm probably biased towards that. Like, it's going to really have to be bad for me to really slate it. But if it's like a horror film, or I don't know, true crime, or different. I don't watch a lot of comedy, although I'm up for a laugh. But for some reason, I just gravitate towards more like serious stuff. I don't know why. I like comedy in my movies, but I wouldn't like go out. I wouldn't have a big comedy collection of comedy films. So if a comedy film's shite or a horror shite, then I'll be harsh on it. If I've not enjoyed it, it's as if like, well, you're not getting any free credits here, so I'm going to say you're shite, kind of thing. But yeah, whereas an action film, I'm very unlikely to give it like 1 star or something, because there's bound to be something in there about it. It's a gunfight or a car chase that I'm like, well, that's worth watching just for the 15 minutes, So I would say I kind of get what you're saying in that regard. Because my collection's quite small, curated at the moment, shall we say. I don't really think there's anything that's like proper pants. Proper pants. I'm trying to think. Just give me a second. I can't think of anything that's like all that interesting. Well, I think this is pants actually, although I may offend someone. But that's Judge Dredd, right? I know that the guy that sent me this is probably watching and he's going to be raging, but I think this is pants shite. The Dredd is much better. However, seeing it in the 90s and it spawned like Lawman of the Future, the Mega Drive game, and the comics. First comics I collected were the spin-offs of this, which I know that anyone that's a fan of 1000 AD will be screaming at the screen now saying, "Can't believe you're reading that before like 2000 AD," and that's something I plan to go back and deep dive. But yeah, this is proper shit, isn't it? It's like it's basically a Stallone movie, thinly veiled as a Judge Dredd, and I can understand why the fans are raging. But I still can have fun with it. I like what they did with like the costumes, and it's really just a Stallone sci-fi film with the flavour of Judge Dredd, but shite. But I quite like it. So I suppose that answers the.
Well, I just watched that recently. I just thought it was brilliant. I understand his problems, but I always have a good time in that movie. I don't know why, but I like it.
Yeah, it's obviously the helmet coming off and all that, and just I don't think Stallone was a great casting for him anyway. But yeah, there's stuff that's I don't think the special effects have held up well in it at all. But it looks nice on Blu-ray. I don't know if it's one of these ones that might come to like 4K down the line as like as an Arrow release or something. So I definitely think it's more of a cult film. Then it's more culty. It's like a good bad film, if you know what I mean. And that's usually the ones that like Arrow jump on, isn't it? But good question, mate. So like Street Fighter, yeah. I don't have Street Fighter, but yeah, that's one that I like. I enjoy it. Watched it as a kid. Just simplistic, silly. But yeah, watching it as an adult now, subjectively, it's terrible. But there was a really nice steelbook of Street Fighter came out recently. I kind of wish I'd got it because I think it's all sold out now. But I wish I'd got a hold of it. Have you got Street Fighter, John?
Yeah, I've got just the standard release.
Blu-ray,
yeah. I haven't watched it again, but I watched it years ago. I didn't like it, but I wanted to look at it fresh eyes from the cheesy element and just. I think I watched it originally to a view to be, oh, this is going to be really good, isn't it? And it was like really bad, and I thought, oh, I don't like that. But now I can kind of accept. I used to give all horror a free pass. I didn't mind it being rubbish, but anything else I thought it had to be good. And then I'm now in the mindset for a lot of years to say anything can be trash to a certain extent. I'll give it a bit of a watch. So I'm going to go back to that one with a different mindset for it.
Correct. I've said I didn't know anything, and now I'm starting to remember things. I've got this that I bought recently. This is another pants sci-fi film, Guyver, the original Guyver with Mark Hamill. I thought I was really going to enjoy this, and I thought it was actually good. I put it on expecting it to be a good movie, and quickly realised that it is crap, and it's just that I was like 5-year-old when I first watched it. But I liked it. If you haven't seen Guyver, check it out. Dark Hero, I think it's better. Chris Kyle has been commenting, gave me Dark Hero. I've still got it somewhere. Just an extended DVD cut. Yeah, and I think that's better than this. But yeah, another pants film that I like because it gets a free sci-fi pass, and I like the kind of the character and the practical.
Yeah, I've got it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
I mean, spoiler, but like, if you really love Star Wars and Mark Hamill and that, I don't think anyone needs to see what happens to Mark Hamill towards the end. But if you've got a twisted mind, you may enjoy it, or you really hate Star Wars, you'll enjoy it. Sophie's Retro Revival. How you doing, Sophie? Evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Sophie, all right?
Yeah, I like kind of met Sophie, if you like, in the comments on Video Tasty stream the other night there.
That's just great. We've had a few chats like live, like maybe after streams or just in general, so I know Sophie quite well. She's really, really nice girl.
Does Sophie have a channel?
Yes, she does. Sometimes she does. I think that maybe sometimes she takes her stuff not off, but she puts things on, and then maybe I think I'm going to say his channel might not be live at the minute. Right. I hope it is, but it might be going through I think she sometimes puts things on and changes her mind for a direction, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
But she's always commenting on stuff. She's always a presence anyway. I find.
When you're back on, Sophie, I'll check it out for sure.
I'm sure the channel's there, but usually it's like in limbo sometimes. So I always subscribe to it, but you know, I know that sometimes there's not anything on it at certain points. You know.
Cool. She's got another comment, so I'll read it out in a wee second. But Chris Carroll, Duncan Jones doing his dad justice is surely in the stars. So, yeah, I think that's got to happen. That's what I want to happen, mate. I should have mentioned that. I know that he, at the time, I think he said he would never do it, but I appreciate that was like when he was asked, 6 months after his dad passed away. So maybe with passage of time, he'll change his mind. But I think we'd all love to see, because Duncan Jones is a good definitely got some of his dad's creative talent clearly, and I think he would. If I think it would just be right, wouldn't it, to see him do it, and I think he would do it justice. So maybe one day, I'd say want to see that.
It would be a perfect circle, wouldn't it, for that?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see that. Sophie, no one touches David Bowie and his story. His family didn't want it, neither did he. Massive Bowie fan here. Yeah, so am I. If you've been watching earlier on, I was just talking about Bowie, Sophie. In fact, my logo to the channel, Electric Geek, it's kind of inspired by Bowie. That's what the lightning flash is all about. Behind the scenes knowledge there. Sophie,
actually, when you sent us the little thing on Instagram and it had sound and vision on it.
Aye.
And I was thinking to myself, at the point I was thinking, right, sound and vision, I wonder if it's just a nod to the fact that this is going to be a sound and vision thing. I didn't really get the fact that you're just a huge Bowie fan. I know that now. But I remember thinking to myself at the time, I thought, that's a great song. The fact is, you automatically assume sometimes people might not know Bowie that much, because he's always been there for the likes of myself and you yourself. But some people don't know if they've got, like, you don't know if they know too much about David Bowie in a certain sense. But you've obviously proved that you know loads about him, and so I thought it might have just been a by chance thing, but no, greatly.
No, it wasn't by chance. It was for both reasons, mate. It's because I like Bowie, and as you said, it's because it was fit. Like, see, if it wasn't for royalties and that, mate, that would be the soundtrack to my channel, because it obviously fits in the sound and vision. But I love that song. It's one of my favourite Bowie songs.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Tattoos is something I wish I had more of. I've got a couple of shitty tattoos, Sophie. But yeah, a Bowie one I could maybe see in the future. I've got a little star on the inside of my arm actually, which isn't, kind of looks a bit like Black Star now. So but that wasn't what it was. It was just a wee crappy test the water tattoo. So I was thinking about changing that, like turning it into the Black Star artwork. So I might do that. But no, cool. Stephen Jackson, evening all. How's it going, Stephen?
All right, Stephen.
Mike, can't wait for Murray's Daydream film out in September. Didn't know anything about it. The only one the Bowie estate have authorised, brackets, more of a documentary. The trailer is on YouTube. I'll definitely be checking that out. 100%. Wow. Cheers for letting us know about that. I did not know that was in the works at all. You know about that? No?
I didn't at all, but that's a great song, isn't it? Mooney's Daydream.
Mooney's Daydream, yeah. That's Ziggy Stardust, isn't it? That's off the Ziggy Stardust album.
Yeah,
it's used in Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't it? One of them.
Yeah.
Aye, this is pretty cool.
As well, you know that Valerian. I'm sure the Valerian, the start of it's got Space Oddity in it. Unless
I've not seen Valerian. It's one of those ones that I think it's supposed to look fantastic as well, isn't it? Yeah, and I keep meaning to watch it, but I've just not got round to it.
I got the 4K for £5. I still haven't watched it, like, but but I'm sure I checked it out at the start of it, and it's got I'm sure it's got Ground Control to Major Tom. It's just a great opening for a sci-fi movie, and I hope the rest of the movie is as good as the opening with that. I don't think it's going to be, but it's worth getting just for that.
No, definitely, that's one I wanted to check out. Sci-fi is my bag, and if it looks pretty, then I'm pretty much, you've got me in the door already. So, Nige, I've still never heard of Down by Law John. I need to hunt it down. Yeah, I'm a smoggy John, but I don't live in Middlesbrough anymore. What is the rarest or most valuable Blu-ray each of you own?
Rarest. I think there's a few that you don't really know are rare. I don't know if you get this yourself, where say you bought something for maybe £15 and it was a 4K or whatever, or a collector's item of something, And then sometimes you look online or you bump into it online and somebody's paying like £100 for it and you think, wow,
Yeah.
how did that happen? And then sometimes it'll come out again and it's like literally back down to £10. So they all seem to go up and down. I would say, I don't know about I don't really know actually. There's got to be some in there that are worth quite a bit, but I don't look to see what they are. Particularly. But I think the one of them ones that was one of the rarest ones was the Dawn of the Dead. Originally, the Arrow Dawn of the Dead. When it sort of went out of print really quickly, and that kind of went for stupid money. So I think maybe that one, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, the Arrow white box one. That I think there's only 1,000 made, so I think
What's that one? What's that one recently, John? That's it might be a video nasty, or it might be one of your Giallo ones you're talking about. That was, it has a rape scene in it that for years has been like rumored that was real or something like that. Or do you know what I'm talking? It's a one worder. The title.
Snuff.
It's a female lead, or it has a sex scene in it that's meant to be real or something, but it's supposed to be rape. Maybe not real rape, obviously, but like.
The only one I can think of is I Spit on Your Grave is obviously not that one.
That's totally bugging me now, but I only mentioned it because it was on it was doing the rounds on Twitter and Instagrams. Basically, people, other YouTubers, I think even like Jeff from Films at Home was wading in saying, "Do not give money to these scalpers," just because it was so like hotly anticipated, been banned for years and years.
All right,
and it came out, and all these people, like obviously some people have managed to get it purely to sell it on, and the scalpers were trying to get it was going for like 200, 300 quid and stuff like that. I thought you probably won't know what it is. I'm just doing a bad job of describing it to you. But I'll look it up and I'll send it to you afterwards if I can remember what it is. But yeah, for me, mate, as I say, I don't actually have a huge collection. Ask me at 5 years, I might have something that's worth more. But probably, I do have an out of print Indiana Jones Blu-ray box set that I paid a stupid amount of money for. Well, for me anyway, I think I paid 80 or 90 quid for it. And it's where is it? Marcus, is it over there? Hold on, I think it's actually over there. I'll just get it for you. I know Keith from Euphoria Pictures has this, because I remember thinking, God, I think that's the only cool thing I have that Keith also has. He's got an absolutely amazing collection, isn't he? That's it. So it's like, basically, I'm not going to open it up because it'll go everywhere. But basically, it's done kind of like an old like textbook, and you open it up and it's got like a mock-up of Indiana Jones, the Henry Jones's Grail Diary, with all and it's got the rubbing of the Knight's Shield and stuff. It's got like a mock-up of that. It's got like Club Obi-Wan matchstick holder with it. So it's just got loads of cool stuff in it. Really cool collector's set. So that's pretty cool. I reckon that's out of print. So I reckon I'll probably get my money back at least, or maybe go for 100 quid or something. I don't know. I've not checked on eBay, but other than that, most of my stuff's kind of new 4K stuff, and the old Blu-ray is just vanilla stuff. So I don't really have any, to be honest. It's like super.
It'd probably be, if I had to look through it, it would probably come down to something that's like either a really weird out of print title that you would never even knew it was out of print. It goes for that money, but you would never find that out, or some kind of video nasty that's been put out and then just probably isn't out anymore. So it's had like a limited release, but I wouldn't really know what it would be. But I would think it probably would be a video nasty in some area. As
I say, mine are all mainly kind of like at the moment, the odd obscure title, but it's mainly mainstream stuff I've got, so widely available stuff. So I don't think my collection's worth that much. But I don't know about you, John, but I don't really tend to punt mine. Like I don't care about the value. Like, not that money's no object to procure the stuff, but like as in I'm not buying anything with a view to flipping it. I will buy cheap stuff second hand just because I want to see something, but I'm not the type. I know I was quite interested to see Keith saying this other night on your stream that he's kind of like, if he buys something, whether it's bad or not, he keeps it because someone else might want to see it, so it forms part of his library, even though he doesn't necessarily like it. But I'm more of the mindset, if something's poor, I'm not keeping it, purely from a space point of view. I'll watch it on physical, but then I'll either give it away to someone who's not seen it, or if I have to, I'll sell it purely just to get a hold of something else.
I think I tend to get stuff that I think because I buy a lot of stuff kind of that I don't know, like all the stuff, the Agfa stuff I'm buying, like this Treasure of the Ninja and the Curious Dr. Hump. I mean, there's no way on earth I could have seen these things. I just think I would like them. And I'm going to collect all of this range. I know I am now because I like all of the stuff they've done. There's 10 so far. But I've usually got a good radar for something that I'm going to really kind of like so I can get it. And it's very rarely I get one and go, oh, this is, I can't watch this thing. It doesn't happen very often. But I would like to, I don't buy anything to flip at all. Usually the stuff I get, like big money things that I've paid big money for, sit there forever. The only time I ever sold anything was when I bought my drum kit, my electronic drum kit, which cost about 2,000 quid. So I knew I had to get rid of some stuff. So that's when Dawn of the Dead went, and Day of the Dead, the Arrow ones. So I got a bit cash for that, but I needed for this drum kit because my wife says you can only have this drum kit if you pay for it, and I'm not giving you any money towards it.
The Debs.
So, the Debs. So I had a year to save the money up, so I sold this stuff on eBay. So I went and just sold some comics that I knew I'd get a lot of money for, the individual releases. And Moon Knight, the first ever Moon Knight one, I sold that for about 70 quid, but that goes for thousands now. I could have had thousands for that, which is Moon Knight 30. No, the Werewolf by Night 30, I think, which has got the first appearance of Moon Knight ever. Stuff like that.
Have you got quite a big comic book collection then, John?
I've got quite a big stuff from the 70s. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of stuff.
Have you ever done anything on your channel with that?
I did all my action comic ones, which was one of the first things I wanted to do, and I did do it until I kind of stopped doing it, which sounds a bit bad because I've got a little bit left to do. I've just got to do a bit more research on the annuals and the summer specials. I've got to read them all, and I haven't got time to read them. So it stopped. But if you go back, if you ever want to look at it, it's the only comic that ever.
I'll check that out.
It's the only comic that ever got banned in the UK. Kids comic got banned in 1976, and there was a massive uproar in the papers. It was called
Was that the 2000 AD one?
Well, the people who were in Action, this comic.
Action, sorry, yeah, before it became 2000 AD.
They jumped ship and they went to 2000 AD because they couldn't make anything gory. They were kind of banned from making gory stuff, so they left Action, and then they started up 2000 AD, 1977, with all the gore in it, but they kind of put a sci-fi spin on it.
Yeah.
They could make it as gory as hell, but not have it realistic. So that's how they got away with that.
Is that? Oh, I bought this recently. Have you seen the video I did, John?
Yeah.
But have you seen this Future Shock?
I haven't done
2000 AD.
That one. Yeah.
You need to watch this, mate. It's awesome. Especially if you've actually got those on comics and stuff. Oh, coffee over. But yeah, like, I haven't read Action comics or anything, but I feel like I know a lot about it because I've recently watched this. Yeah. But yeah, I think there was one cover. It talks about it, and it talks about it in the documentary where there's like a punk over the top of a civilian, but there's like an old style police hat sitting, and then the guy that's on the ground is he's not a copper, but basically the Pat Mills that's in this is basically saying he could have strangled the colorist because he coloured the civilian blue, so it looked like it was a copper on the ground, and the guy was standing over him, and apparently that was that the one you're talking about that got the
that's it.
Yeah.
That's the Kids Rule the comic strip, which was one of the. I mean, it got banned in issue 36, and I think that came in around about issue 30. And this comic, where you were, like, say, in 1976, I was maybe about 8, and I'm thinking, it was the best thing ever. It was full of violence. It was just getting more and more violent every week, and I don't know what they were thinking of putting this stuff in. But this
it's obviously working though.
Oh yeah, well, in the first couple of frames in Kids Rule OK, they had this. What happened was, I think that the kids, for some reason, was either that all the grown-ups got a virus and they became sort of died out. So it was only just the kids in the world and like how they went on, like forming gangs and stuff like that. But the kids were rebelling against the adults. That was the kind of thing. Kids Rule OK. So one of the first things was this fella punching someone in the face, and his teeth are flying out, and they're going, "Go on, knock his teeth out," and that. And I'm thinking, this is amazing. It had bike chains and everything. But of course, you put the bike, someone standing over a copper or looked like
That's
a
that's right.
bike chain like that. Really, you think, this is this?
Getting
Well,
banned.
you didn't think at the time it just vanished, and then it came back like softer in my third. So, but I've got videos on all of the. I've got all the band. I've got all the issues of Action, all in great condition, bagged up and
That'd be
everything.
worth a few bob, I would imagine, if you've got all them.
I think it's actually, if you're getting back to things that are worth something, I think that's probably worth the collection. I've got all the books, I've got the annuals, the whole thing. It might be worth conservatively like $1,000, something like that.
I would imagine. No, that must be awesome. I'll definitely go back and have a look.
Never ever sell
should maybe do some crossover stuff, like, I don't know, comics and like the movie of it. I don't know, crossover.
I mean, the stuff, I very rarely put anything like advertise me channel or something. The only thing I did advertise was the Action stuff on an Action fan site on Facebook. And I knew that probably the people who followed us on there were very into it. And I've done nothing since for about a year. So maybe they're thinking, you'll never ever do anything again. I do want to do it. I just have to read a chunk of stuff I'm putting off. So I will do it, but I want to get back to it. If you take a look, you'll be surprised at even some of the covers. You just see them, you think, how on earth did they even...
I'll definitely go back and check. I've kind of got into it myself recently. Like, not, I've got one or two graphic novels, and I'm enjoying the kind of image stuff, like nail biters, what I've been reading. But yeah, I'm getting pretty into it, so I'll definitely check that out. But anyway, we better catch up with some of these comments, and then we'll.
That's the thing when you get talking in it, you just get off on a tangent.
I'm enjoying it though. I hope everyone else is. And this is Totally Movie Recall is the guy who very kindly gave me Judge Dredd, so I knew that I'd get a reaction here. And it's a goddamn science fiction masterpiece. Nah, I get it, man. It's a guilty pleasure. Nah, totally. Actually, I'm just sending it, mate.
I like it. I do like it.
He's also got to say Guyver 2, Dark Hero for Life.
I might have to check that, actually.
Where is it? I've lost that comment. There's a few ones to catch up on here. I'll just try and battle through them, John.
Yeah.
Sophie, I'm currently in limbo. Perfect way to put it. Haha.
Right. But I know that you'll come back. I know you've... but that's the thing. If somebody wants to put the channel on ice a little bit and come back to it whenever they feel like it, it's all good, isn't it? When you think about it. There's not a thing that you've got to put a video out every single day, and stuff like that.
I mean... I work, I've got family commitments, all the rest of it, and I'm passionate about the channel, I'm loving it. But the reality is that some weeks I just can't do it, and fortunately I've always got plenty of ideas. I don't know about you, John, but I feel like I've got loads of ideas, but I don't have enough time to actually make the videos. But if I got to the stage where I didn't have the ideas or whatever, just lost motivation, then I think it's better to take a hiatus as opposed to just bin it all together. So
never
see you back.
Whatever way you think about it, just like I say, go on a bit of a break. Never ever get. No.
That's it. Jason Brett, hello guys. Andy, new to your channel. Looking forward to checking out your videos. John, you're a great friend, as you know. Thanks, mate. Welcome aboard.
Jason's a good lad. Got some good stuff, Jason. Do you know Jason's videos when he's got a lot of stuff to do with like monsters? Kaiju, that type of thing. Godzilla.
No, I don't. I've never came across him before, but I'll definitely.
If you want to know a lot more about that type of thing, Godzilla stuff, check out some of his. I know he's not. He sometimes says, "Oh, people think I'm a Godzilla man." He's not the Godzilla man, but I would say it's a good rule of thumb just to go and check out his Godzilla stuff, and you get the.
A good thing to get you over the door, and then see what else is in there. Jason Brett, I watched Drive for the first time recently. What a film! It's became an instant favourite. Yeah, it's a bit of a. I watched it for the first time in 10 years when I reviewed it and unboxed the box set on the channel, and I gave it 5 stars. I don't think I would have given it 5 stars 10 years ago, although I did enjoy it. But yeah, watching it, I think it's aged like a fine wine. I think it's a film that's just going to gather more and more fans as the years go on. Do you like it, John? Yeah, fan.
Yeah, I think it's a great film. Yeah. It's very stylish as well. It's more stylish than you would expect for it's not really an action film. It's quite a strange film because it's not out and out action, but it is.
Yeah, it's hard to put it in a category.
Yeah, I can't pigeonhole it, which I like about it.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why it'll go on.
I think in my review I described it, I don't know if you'll agree with me, John, but I kind of described it as being a cross between like Taxi Driver and Bullet. Like it's as stylized as Taxi Driver. It's got that whole kind of like man who speaks few words, anti-hero that Taxi Driver has, but then it's like drenched in neon. So it's like it's got a lot more kind of like it's a lot more visually striking than either of those two films. But it has the style of Bullet and the kind of
I can see what you say with that one. Yeah,
the kind of grittiness of Taxi Driver. That's how I would kind of describe it. But it's a hard one to
It's got a lot of good violence. I'm saying good violence in it. It's got some great violent scenes in it.
Yeah. So the violence always happens very stylistically, if that makes sense, which almost dreamlike. The violence is dreamlike at times, I think. Mike, Mooney's Daydream is directed by Brett Morgan. I'm not familiar with that director. Yeah. I'll definitely be checking it out though, Mike, because as I say, a big Bowie fan, so I'll definitely be looking into it. Video Tasties, hi guys. How you doing, Gareth? I was doing a watch along with Gareth. I was supposed to do a watch along with Gareth, but my two kids had other ideas. I didn't get on until like the last 20 minutes. But we did a RoboCop 2 one, and I really like Gareth's channel.
Yes, so that is that like a watch along to the movie?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so Gareth just he just keeps it going with trivia, and obviously people comment, and it's good fun. It's just kind of like really casual, but he does them a lot, and he's got a regular kind of good crowd that comment and watch along. So if you ever get a chance to jump on with Gareth, he's always looking for people to come on.
I know I've seen him on a Nintendo's stream before. I'm sure.
Right, I'm going to get him on my one. He's going to be on this Geek Chat. We're just trying to work out when he'll be coming on this for sure. But how you doing, Gareth? Sophie, sorry, Gareth, I am a Judas and jumped the ship. I was going to say we'll not tell him, but he's in the stream now, so not much to do with it, Sophie. Mike, Brett Morgan, sorry for the typo. Right, Brett Morgan, previous post. He was given access to the complete archive, lots of unseen footage in it. September 16th release date and IMAX were available. Wow. Hope a 4K is on the cards. Yeah, that's one I'd be getting.
I think that sounds like a 4K, instant 4K, doesn't it?
Definitely.
4K.
I'll be looking to see where it. I doubt very much it'll be an IMAX my way, because they seem to just do the mainstream stuff. But I'll definitely be checking it out. Cheers for letting us know, mate.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I'm a massive Indiana Jones fan, but that box set is pretty snazzy. It doesn't matter how big or small the collection is. It's what's in the collection and what you love. And that's the main thing, mate. Yeah, definitely. I've got this wee band away as well from Indiana Jones. You might have seen it in unboxings, but did you buy anything from Last Exit to Nowhere? So I wear this on my wrist every day, because I think as I get older, it's more and more relevant. But it's not the years, honey, it's the mileage from Raiders and all that stuff.
That's good,
yeah. No, but it's a really cool store, and they do these wee bands, and they don't actually have the movies on them. They just have the lines, which I like. So I switched them in and out, but no, they're really cool.
I like on Last Exit to Nowhere where you get a T-shirt and it's got something very obscure about the movie on some part of a movie. And not a lot of people would know it. If you put Dawn of the Dead on it, someone will go, "Oh, you got Dawn of the Dead T-shirt." If you put the TV series, the TV company, the indent, which I've got what it's called now, but anyway, you've got the indent on there as a T-shirt. Well, I remember I was in Morrison's one day, just walking around, and this fella, when he was coming towards us, he was looking at us like for the whole aisle, and you think, do I know this? What's this about? And of course, you got up. I was thinking, well, if I know him, I don't know what his name is. That type of sort of, not fear, but you just think, well, you go
apprehensive to the guys. Why are the guys?
Yeah, he just said, "Nice T-shirt, Mort Hoffman." Oh, right. Thank God for that.
I've had a couple. I've bought a few T-shirts off over the years. I've got that one I wore on videotape. I put it on Instagram. Most recent one I got, it's all the videotapes, but it's like, I think it's called Rated 18 and Over or something like that, and it's basically all the videotapes that my granddad had that I was watching. So it's like RoboCop, Shining, Predator, and it's like the cassette, and it's got the original the original kind of label that'd be on the VHS, and it's got the big thick the big 18 certificate. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's the most recent one I got. But no, you're right. I think they're really onto something, Last Exit to Nowhere. Because if you want to wear a big like T-shirt that says whatever Star Wars on it, great, by all means. But I like it to be a bit more subtle, and I think I'm not the only one that thinks that. So I can see why Last Exit to Nowhere is taking off. It's a great business model, the subtlety thing.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant, and I like the fact it's still obscure, and it's the people who know, or they give you that kind of nod as if to say, I know that's from what's the other one? I've got like one from Clockwork Orange. It's just got Brodsky and Browell. I think the company that set up the Ludovico treatment. I think it says that, and a few people will go, you get that double look as if to say, hang on, that looks as if it's somewhere, that company from Clockwork Orange, you know. And
they're double taking, like, this is that, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's funny. I just like the fact that, so if you know, and it's kind of one of them things where you think your fella's sort of someone who's into really sort of obscurities, just give you that kind of like that.
They've got another T-shirt. They've obviously kind of they're aware. They're very much aware of their kind of community. They've got a cracking Facebook group, and they kind of created a last exit tee that's not related to any film, and it's just called One of Us, which is kind of like a tribute to what you're talking about. So it's that kind of like what you're saying there, the whole kind of like, all right, yeah, you're like, so you can actually wear one of their T-shirts now. That if you follow that last exit to nowhere, where you get the reference kind of thing. But no, it's cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get one for ages, but
I think I will get one of them. Definitely.
Now, just saying, I've got that Dawn of the Dead arrow set, John. I thought it was a dog's bollocks because until Second Sight put it to shame, I just hope to God that now Night is getting a 4K release. That day follows.
Yeah,
have I read that out properly?
Yes, you know that the Second Sight Dawn of the Dead, the big huge.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, the one that's
Night of the Living Dead is getting a 4K release now. And then he's saying, I'm hoping that Day of the Dead gets a 4K release now. So that would be great to get I'm sure it must be Night of the Living Dead is getting a 4K by Criterion because they've released the Blu-ray, which looks stunning. So I love black and white movies on 4K. There's something about them. Really is.
I don't have many. Do you know the one I want though that's just come out? That Raging Bull. I'm raging myself that it's not out in the UK. So I'm thinking about getting it from Amazon US. So I haven't seen it in years, Raging Bull, and I don't have many Criterion, so I think it'd be a good one to add to the collection. But
should look nice.
Yeah. Roos, just to break the ice, what is your favourite Chuck Norris film? Mine is probably Lone Wolf McQuaid. That's one my granddad had as well, mate. That's the one where he's on the front cover on it, and the double denim and the shotgun. And I think David Carradine's in it, isn't he? I think he's the bad guy. Aye, why not? I'll say Lone Wolf McQuaid as well, because that's just been a total nostalgia, even getting that mentioned there.
I'm thinking that even though I saw a lot of them back in the day, I haven't seen one of his films for years. I'm going to say maybe, was it Good Guys Wear Black? I think that was one of his films.
No, that rings a bell. I know the name. I don't think I've seen it, but
I think it was one of the, we were all quite samey at that point. But there's another one as well when he's standing there and there's a triangle behind him, but I don't know if that's the same movie. I just remember the cover. I just think his movies were quite good. He was kind of like an old school Steven Seagal at that point.
Yeah,
that type actor, and he was good. It was a good. He was just getting what he was getting.
Was Chuck Norris maybe your original in a way? Like, was he maybe the first kind of like action hero in that regard that just churned out action films? Like, obviously we ended up getting Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme, or Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger ended up being a megastar, but like Schwarzenegger, Stallone. Chuck Norris is maybe the kind of first American guy.
I think Chuck Norris on the back of the Bruce Lee film he made.
Aye, Way the Dragon.
Way the Dragon, yeah. I think he probably got a career from that, and because he was a martial artist, he's
a world champion, wasn't he? The real deal.
I think he was one of the ones that automatically went into being in the movies. And to be honest, there was loads of his films out in the video shops, in the early 80s. There was loads and loads of them, so you would always get in a field, but it was hard to remember which one was which. Because you were thinking, is that the one?
Copy and paste jobs.
But I haven't seen one of his for a long time, mate.
I've not watched any. I know he appeared in Expendables, didn't he? He's had a few cameo appearances over the years, hasn't he? Off the back of because he kind of had a renaissance just as a joke almost, didn't he? The whole Chuck Norris jokes,
Chuck Norris.
He kind of popped up that way. But I think the mainstream Hollywood horrors are having a bit of a renaissance the last few years, the Halloween sequels, the Conjuring universe stuff, Jordan Peele movies, and the Blumhouse stuff. Any faves, John, being a horror man, of what he's mentioned?
From this new stuff, yeah, Jordan Peele, definitely his movies I think are brilliant. The Halloween sequels, yeah, I think the Halloween Kills was brilliant. Conjuring 2 was really good. I would say, what's the other one that I quite like? I like the first one, Insidious. The first one I thought was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, to be honest, I do usually kind of watch them movies. I never get them. I never go to the cinema because Deborah doesn't like them, so I can't watch them at the cinema. But I will.
I'm with Deborah. I don't like the jumpy ones either. But I did watch Get Out the other night there to kind of, because I'm probably going to go and see Nope with Chris. His comment there.
All right.
And I really, really enjoyed it. There's not many times I watch a horror and at the end of it, I'm like, you know that way when you watch a film, you know it's like something special and you've got a wee bit of a buzz about it. You're like, I've just watched something fantastic there. Get Out had that kind of effect on me. So I'm definitely going to check out Us, and then I'm looking forward to seeing Nope for sure.
The 4K on Us is unreal.
Yeah.
Black
maybe try and get it then if it's.
But you know the skin, the colours on the clothes is unreal. But you know the skin colours that's got there, they're just like it's perfect. It's a real jaw dropper. Us,
right?
Very surprisingly so. Did you see?
I might try and get a hold of it then. I just watched Get Out recorded on my Skybox from Channel 4 for ages. So it was like HD, but it wasn't like anything super special. But I watched it on the OLED, and it was a nice looking film.
Yeah, Get Out looks good, but Us looks the better. I don't know about No, but it looked good on the cinema. The trailer saw looked quite good.
Aye.
Deborah might go and see that actually, maybe.
Yeah, I think Nope's got that kind of like. Someone reviewed it saying they compared it to like this generation's Jaws, which I thought was really interesting. I've seen a review saying that, so that's high praise indeed. But no, I'll definitely want to see Nope. And Keith's collection makes you sick. It does. Although I'm sure he said I can have that Iron Maiden bus free of charge. All right, okay. You need to take that up, Keith.
I'm sure you do.
I watched these movies. I've followed Keith for ages, but it's just one of those ones that I hadn't watched a lot of his videos. But the other day, actually, I did a bit of a deep dive. I watched one, and I watched the next one, and I eventually went into the movie room tour, and my jaw was on the floor for most of it. It's like, it's amazing. But what I love about Keith is that, like, he was doing that movie room tour and he was actually getting out of breath because he was so excited, like, talking about it. And I think that's what makes Keith's channel good, because he's like, it helps that he's got a great knowledge of it and his collection's awesome, but it's the passion he has for it on the screen. He gets so like giddy and excited talking about it, which rubs off. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching Keith's stuff.
I think that the fact is that usually, because he goes down collecting the bust route, which I don't do for space. I haven't got the space for that, and I kind of watch his stuff. I wish I had it. I know I haven't got the space for it, so I can't actually replicate that at all. But it's nice to actually see it all in one bit and know there's a channel that specialises in that type of thing. So I like that for that. But when Keith's enjoying something or he's into it, it's good to see somebody who's like I say, passionate about what they believe in, and the fact is his collections. We're talking about this the other night on his stream. Just says his collection has been something that's been here, going with him for years and years and years. So it's funny as well, because I would say, I know he's got VHS, but he hasn't got out. And I'm thinking that most of my VHS is gone, or I have got a drawer full of VHS, which is not really anything stunning, but it's stuff you can't get anymore. So I've got that. And I've got most of my DVDs went, my DVD films went. Then I've got my Blu-rays, which I've kept most of my Blu-rays, and I've got all my 4Ks. But Keith's probably got everything he's ever had from day one. So really, he's got like a sort of time capsule, for want of a better word. You're going to see things like, I'm going to go, if he's like skipping past the DVD, and I think, oh, hang on a minute, that's such and such, I can't remember. I remember that from years ago, so I like that aspect.
Yeah, there was a few things in that movie room tour that was like I really enjoyed that. And what was even more amazing was how small his room actually was. I think, it's difficult when someone cuts the other shot. Like, I've always liked his intro, the kind of John Carpenter style music. It's really cool, and it's like different shots and everything. And I think it's kind of creates an illusion that he's got this big massive gallery of stuff, and then you realise he's actually got a very modestly sized room, it's amazing in itself how he's actually fitted it all in.
You're right.
But yeah. If you haven't seen Keith, jump over to Euphoria Pictures and check out that collection. Awesome.
He's a good lad. He always chats with you.
Yeah. Much like yourself, John. That's how I get. Like when I started commenting your stuff, you were always good at getting back, and it's good when anyone ever you comment on YouTube stuff and when you get any kind of interaction. But see when someone takes that wee extra mile, maybe bat something back, or it's not just that generic or cheers for the comment kind of thing. I think that makes a big difference. I know that once if someone's channel gets massive, I totally get if you've got 1,000 comments, you can't give them a paragraph answer for every single one. But yeah, yourself and Keith are definitely good for that. Getting a genuine, and so is John Clancy. See, for a big channel, John's very good at getting back to you.
Well. One of the funny things about John is I said to John when his channel exploded, because his channel was I would say it was ever small. When I first started off, I think he had 900 subs, which was massive to me. Only having 10 or something. And he says, and then his things went just thousands and thousands, just exploded.
Yeah.
And the fastest I've ever seen a YouTube channel grow, that I know.
I know. I couldn't. When I look back and seen him with a few videos, and I was like, how is this? Not that I was that shocked because the quality of the videos is so good, but I was still impressed just with the sheer.
I was always thinking to myself, how come he's only got 900 subscribers? Because the stuff seems so professional. And then he just went thousands and thousands. But I'd said to him, I says, John, how can you comment that much on people's videos? Because I struggle to write a lot out because, to give people a good answer and not just go, cheers, wave. You want to just know that they've read the thing and you want to maybe ask them a question as well, if you're interested in what they've said. So John's, he's a speed typer.
Right.
You can do that. He had a job where he was a speed typing and he could type faster than anybody else. So it's nothing to him. So there you go. There's a bit of inside information. He's
behind the scenes. See, I don't know about you, John, but I do absolutely literally everything on my phone. I edit, I take the pictures, a video. I'm even doing this stream on my iPhone 11, and it definitely hinders me, and it's a pain in the ass editing. I think I do not bad considering I only use my phone, but it's definitely something I want to get a laptop, and it gives me more options and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how what you use, John. But I purely use my iPhone, and that's it.
I use my laptop and for recording because this has got a camera in it.
Yeah.
Record on here, everything's on here, edit on here, and then I comment on my phone. I don't comment. I very rarely comment on my laptop, which I should do because some of the bigger comments you can't read them all. And it's on the screen. You can't see them when you go to reply at them. So you've got to try and remember what they've said on the start of the comment, and you can't see it again. So I apologise sometimes if there's one that's a bit too long to sort of reply to everything that I've done. But I do want to think that I will comment. You don't know how far it's going to go, your channel, but I do want to feel like I want to comment all the time. I don't ever want to. But I understand when you get big, huge ones like Films at Home, that there's got to be a cut-off point, because he's got 100,000 subscribers. There's no way that he could say.
I definitely think he would. I think he's really genuine, Jeff. I like Jeff over there.
Yeah.
I think if he could, he would. But yeah, it gets to that point where you're not able to, are you? But yeah, I think certainly you and Keith anyway, and John. I don't know how, like you say. Well, now I know how he does it, but
I might pay him to do my things for us.
Yes, sir. Jason is Sophie, just my other half, but I'm obviously the better half. All right.
Yes,
take your word for it, Sophie. The YouTube couple.
I always agree with you, Sophie. Yes, you're right.
The campfire is actually the bouncer for this stream, but he's late, so you could have done me tonight, mate. So to get all the female soliciting out of the chat. Evening, sorry guys, couldn't make it earlier. You're cool. Okay, Mike, love Hammer horror films. John, do you remember Monster Mag and House of Hammer magazines from the 70s? Before video, it was the nearest to seeing the film in the comic strip form.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them upstairs, and I remember seeing. It was funny because one of my favourite ones I had was the comic that was the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which was the last horror Dracula movie.
That's the one that's the one that's in that. I was trying to think earlier on, but when I told you the first one I watched was your 10 Hammer Horror. I'm sure that's in your top 10.
Yeah,
that was one of the ones that I thought that's a bit different. That was the one that I was probably most likely to watch.
Kung Fu Dracula film, Kung Fu vampire film. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, 1973 was Enter the Dragon, so 1974 was everything was Kung Fu. So they put a bit of Kung Fu into this Dracula thing. And to be honest, when I went back to it with Deborah, because we're watching it, I says, I don't know if I'm going to like this one this time around, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. It's rock hard to get on Blu-ray, unfortunately. It's hard to get on DVD, actually. I've got it on DVD. But they had a comic strip of it. So I remember reading this comic strip. Now, say if you had a bit where somebody got they had an arrow and they shot an arrow through a vampire's neck and went in the throat. In the movie, it looks quite cheesy and cheap, and you probably don't see it the way you see it in the comic. It looks like brilliant. So I had this comic view of what I thought this film was going to look like that obviously embellished it, so it was like the perfect comic strip. When I watched the movie, I was very disappointed because it just didn't have the same thing in it. But anyway, looking back on it, I still got that comic, and like I say, I used to read. But getting back to what Mike's saying, that was the only thing you could do. You saw the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires on TV one night. It might not be in for another 4 years, so you never see it again. Can't go to the cinema to see it because you're too young. There's no way to have it. And then even when VHS come out, only if it would come out on VHS, so it became one of these legendary things you had to see. So when DVD started putting all these ones out, you were kind of pouncing on them because this is the stuff that you've been after for so long.
For decades, potentially. Yeah.
And these days, you literally see a movie at the cinema, you can probably get it in a bootleg the day after or before.
Yeah.
And you can see it 4K a week later, so you go, you haven't got that. I mean, it's a good thing in a way, but you still haven't got that thing where you had to read a book to find out about movies, and there's no spoilers. You went into the movie.
That is a good thing about back then. Like there was no we've had fannies in this chat tonight, like trying to spoil Nope. But I suppose that's just. But then you and I probably wouldn't even have met, and we wouldn't be having this live stream if it wasn't for the advancement. So there's pros and cons, isn't there? But I was going to say. I kind of obviously I'm a wee bit younger than you, John, but I kind of know what you're saying. I kind of had that with the Judge Dredd thing I was talking about earlier. So I seen Judge Dredd when I kind of shouldn't have, but then even then you had to wait maybe a year to 2 years for it would come to VHS, and that's how I get into the comics because that was it. It was like, well, I absolutely loved that. That's awesome. What else? What can I read? And it was like, well, here's Lawman of the Future, which was like more aimed at kids. So I was like. Every week I was going to my news agents to pick that up because, like, a bit like what you're talking about there with the Hammer magazine, it was all I had until I could get a hold of it VHS or play the Mega Drive companion game kind of thing. So I kind of get that, and I miss it to an extent. I think it's a shame in a way that like my kids and stuff won't kind of understand that. But, nice. If neither of you don't have Wild Things on 4K yet, I thoroughly recommend it. Brilliant film and more twists than a big twisty thing. I saw it at the cinema in '98 and it blew me away. What a film. I haven't seen it in years. I do quite fancy it. I'll probably get it in a sale. I remember watching it when I was a young adolescent for obvious reasons.
Well, I never even knew about it until it came out in 4K, and I remember thinking, did you not even know what it? Oh, no, right. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Yeah, it must have passed it by. And I think I might have seen it, kind of the cover, and that would be it. But I think the more I hear about it, is more I would want to check it out. I think I've seen it a couple of times, but when you know not zero about it, but the fact it's an Arrow movie makes us think that Arrow release makes us think it's got to be something about it. But the fact that Nigel thinks it, I think it's pretty decent. I think I'll give it a shot. Like.
I definitely enjoyed it when I watched it, but I'll need to watch it again because I was like just a 15-year-old or something like that. But I'm pretty sure it is good. But I feel like I can't really recommend it because it's been that long since I properly watched it. But no, I'll put that one on the buying list. Nige. I'll try and get a few. I'm starting to get the battery warnings, John. I did say we'd do 2.5 hours, so we're kind of closing in on that last 10 minutes. So I'll try and. I don't want it to die. That's what happened to Paul, unfortunately, the last time. So if you're watching Paul, sorry about that, mate. We'll get you on again. But I'll try and get through some of these. I'll ask some kind of questions to round up. But So Bumpers Movies, even in both any 4K releases you're looking forward to, the Scream Factory, Child's Play trilogy should be nice. Again, I'm not really a massive horror fan, Bumper. Thanks for jumping in, mate. Appreciate the comment. I don't even think I've seen the Chucky films. I think I've maybe seen the first one years ago as a boy, but again,
I haven't seen it for a long time. It's all right, but I just don't really feel like I need to see them much. That sounds a bit strange, but I'm not really.
Aye.
You know,
That's
after
something you visit.
yeah, it's not something. I might go, but I'm not like desperate to see them.
I think
the franchise I never really got into.
Maybe a bit obvious, Bumper. Maybe you're looking for something a bit more niche, but I'm looking forward to Maverick, Top Gun. Maverick,
well, you know what I was going to say. I know it's completely different to that. Is Maverick is the top thing I'm looking forward to. I thought the movie was.
I think Maverick's probably going to be the disc of 2022.
Yeah.
I think that's safe to say. I'll review it on the channel along with everybody else in our dog, but I'll do it anyway because I'd like the film regardless of who watches it. But Chris Kyle, do you think Amazon's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, will be worth a watch? I have the original trilogy and I have the extended edition DVDs. It had them as well, Chris, many moons ago.
Yeah.
With the collectible statues, but Hobbit films misfired for me. John?
I think
Lord of the Rings in general.
I'm going to give it a shot. I hope it's going to be good. I do agree totally with Chris. Loved the Lord of the Rings. Hobbits, I don't know. I just think Lord of the Rings should be a little bit longer and Hobbit should be a bit shorter. And then they would have been a bit better. But I'm interested to see what happens with this new one.
Yeah, I mean, I actually need to watch. I had those DVD box sets that Chris is talking about, and I think they got punted years ago, so I don't actually have them anymore. I'm not a massive fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm not really big into the kind of fantasy kind of period. I know it's not period, it's fictional, but you know what I mean, that kind of medieval Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy epic. Did enjoy them, appreciate them for what they are. I remember seeing the first one at the cinema, I was 16 or 17, that kind of age, and being blown away and thinking, that's what an awesome epic that is. And I enjoyed Return of the King the most. So I've heard they're good in 4K, so I do intend to pick them up in 4K. I'm just waiting to get them in a sale, basically. So I definitely might try and get them before it comes out because I think it's important to maybe at least watch those. But I'm not, to be honest, I'm not all that excited for it. I know there's a huge budget behind it. I probably will watch it, but I'm not really a big Lord of the Rings man. Hobbit-wise, same as you, John. I watched the first one, struggled to get through it. Just wasn't gripping me. And then I never even got around to watching the Battle of the Five Armies and the other one, the Decimation of Smog. I might watch it at some point, but I just couldn't be arsed with it, to be honest. So
we saw all the three Hobbit films in the cinema, me and Deborah, and we're going into it massive fans. Even Deborah's a massive fan of the Lord of the Rings. We're sitting there going, is this it? We're a little bit quite surprised at how much we thought. We're a bit sort of like hum about it, and unfortunately,
I don't think you're alone though. I think that's the general consensus, isn't it, for like the Hobbit trilogy compared to the original. But yeah, I know it's not really what you asked, but I was actually talking to this with the wife earlier. We watched both the trailers, kind of compared them. But I'm more excited for House of Dragons, the Game of Thrones one. I preferred Game of Thrones as a piece of entertainment to Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So watching the trailer for House of Dragons, it got me a bit more excited. Lord of the Rings, it was kind of like, all right, looks fancy, but so if I had to choose between the two, it would be House of Dragons. But I'll definitely give it a shot at some point. You excited for House of Dragons, John? Game of Thrones?
I've never seen a second of Game of Thrones.
Oh, have you not? Oh, you need to watch it. You need to go on that. Don't bother watching Lord of the Rings. Just watch Game of Thrones.
When you see something that's huge and you just say, I don't know if I can have the time to do it. Yeah.
I totally know what you mean. There's series like that I just like. Sopranos, I've still not finished the Sopranos because by the time it was all finished by the time I get around to watching it. So just the thought of sitting and watching 6, 7 seasons is just too daunting. And we've got that much content thrown at us constantly now. It's hard to kind of keep up. No, I get that, but if I could advise you to watch anything that you've maybe missed, it's got to be Game of Thrones. It gets a bit shaky towards the end, but some of those early seasons are like some of the best TV there's ever been. But So really caught up. Keith's in the chat. The 4A Pictures. Hello to all. Apologies for getting late to the stream. No need to apologise, mate. Hope everyone's doing well, and thanks to both of you for the incredibly kind words. Really means a lot to me. No worries, mate. Well earned. Thanks very much for dropping in, Keith.
Yeah,
I meant everything I said, and I'm looking forward to watching more of your stuff, mate. But no, thanks very much for dropping in, Keith. And keep doing what you're doing, man.
Oh yeah. It's a great channel. I'm sure that everybody knows about Keith's channel, but if you haven't seen it, you've got to go, because he's I think he's got the best collectibles in the UK. Definitely. It's just got this, like I say, what I said before is the fact that his collection is basically everything he's got from day one till now. It's not as if he bought them yesterday. So I've got a feeling that it's quite rare that you've got that someone who hasn't turned everything over, then got rid of something, then started again, and got rid of a certain format. They're all still there. Good.
But like I say, yeah, definitely. But as much as obviously Keith's collection's a pool, I'm sure, for people. But I think it's once you're in, like, genuinely once you're in Keith's channel, if he wasn't as passionate about it. Because I've seen people doing room tours and you go into them and it's cool stuff, but you kind of lose that. Maybe the guy's a bit dull or boring or whatever. So, but Keith kind of, the passion's evident. So that's kind of what, that's what I think. That's what I think the secret sauce has been for Keith, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Chris Kyle, I'm in for the House of Dragons, mate. Matt's my boy. Chris is a big Doctor Who fan. I've never really got into Doctor Who, but Chris is a massive. You're quite into that, you're not, John? You're not a bit of a Doctor Who, man.
Doctor Who, yeah. So I don't know about the new one, but nothing to do with the fact of the Jodie Whittaker. I think she's brilliant, but I just think that the writing is terrible at the minute. It needs to be binned and just rebooted, basically, which I think they're going to do. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I've really, for the first time since it's come back on, is the first time, I think, the last 2 seasons, a series, I've just never watched it. Couldn't be bothered with it. It was just rubbish.
It's just never appealed to me. I don't know why. It just never has. I think obviously because the right old stuff is the old stuff. So, but you would have thought a perfect jumping on point would have been, when David Tennant and all that and Christopher Eccleston rebooted it. But for some reason, I just didn't. Maybe one day, but at the moment, I'm just there's other things I want to watch, kind of thing. But yeah, Paddy Considine. I like Paddy Considine. Not seen him much in a while, but Dead Man's Shoes and stuff. Awesome.
Dead Man's Shoes. I just watched Journeyman the other day. It was brilliant.
Is that another kind of British?
Yeah, British. It's a box. He plays a boxer who gets a brain injury.
Oh, aye, I've heard. I think I've read about it on a way to a holiday once in like the In-Flight magazine, and then just forgot all about it.
It starts off quite normal, and Jodie Whittaker is his wife actually, and she plays a brilliant part. So it starts off quite normal, should I say, and then it goes, because I was thinking, it's not as gritty as I think most of his movies are, and then it gets really dark, and I thought, wow, so it's got a lot into it, and of course Paddy Considine is just brilliant, as he is always.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He's definitely one of those names. I mean, he's like my favourite actor and anything, but if Paddy Considine's in something, I'm immediately more interested.
Yeah,
in watching it. Croatia, you've got Mulholland Drive on 4K, lads. I've never seen Mulholland Drive. Another one of those ones that I'm embarrassed to admit, but I keep seeing it in CEX. Do you know why I've not watched Mulholland Drive? Because I've seen a lot of other David Lynch films, but I'm a bit of a shite bag when it comes to jump scares. And people keep telling me that Mulholland Drive's got like one of the worst or best jump scares, and that, if I'm being honest, is the reason I've not watched it.
Well,
is it that bad? Is it that bad?
It's a great jump scare. It lasts for more than the usual second. It seems to last for a little bit longer, which is a bit odd. I don't know how he does it. But I remember when I went, I'd seen it before. And when I went in the HMV and I bought not the 4K, but the previous remastered Blu-ray. And I says, which still looks quite good. It's a 4K remaster on it. So I handed it to the bloke and I says, right, give him the thing. And he said, pick it up. And he goes, have you seen this movie? And I went, yeah, I have actually. And he goes, what do you think about that? I knew exactly what he was going to say. What do you think? I says, the jump scare. He says, the jump scare. I says, I said, were you? I says, oh yeah. The first time you see that is like, it's just, yeah. So that's all I'll say.
You've just sold it to me. I'll still not be watching it. Until they release the non-jump scare edition, I'll probably go without it.
But it's the 4K is great. It's a lovely 4K.
I watched John Clancy's video on it. It's yeah, it just keeps popping on the radar. I feel like my time is coming. I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and endure this jump scare. But yeah, it's in my local CX and it keeps fluctuating. 1 minute it's 20 quid. Then at one point it went to full price, $24.99. I thought we're not going to buy that if it's second hand. And then it was down at 12, and I wish I'd pulled the trigger when it was at 12. And I think it's now sitting at like 18 or something again. It keeps,
well, it keeps 3 for 30, so I got it for 10 quid.
Right. Oh, I've seen a video about that actually.
Yeah.
That's right.
I never thought I would say that price, man.
Yeah, no, definitely 10 quid for that. It's good. It seems to hold its value. Like it doesn't. Its overall price doesn't drop. If you know what I mean, it always sits at $24.99.
Yeah.
Kurashia, can John do a full-on analysis of Inland Empire for us?
Well, I can't because I haven't seen it. So that's another David Lynch movie. So and the movie's about 4 hours long or 3 hours long. So I am going to watch it, but I know it's a strange one, but it's meant to be good. Well, all David Lynch's movies are good for me. Even the short movies,
maybe not seen enough to. The jury's still out. I enjoyed Dune. I watched that just recently.
Yeah.
Although it is like I don't think it's a patch on the Denis Villeneuve one, but I like it. There's something kind of quirky about it, just the David Lynchness, I suppose. But it kind of works. I like the production design, which I think they've still kind of honoured in the new one. Like the still suits and all that, they've pretty much just kept them the way they were because I think they were really well designed in the original. Yeah. The soundtrack and all that, it's good, but it's just a bit of a kind of mess, and they're trying to do too much with it.
Yeah,
in one movie. But yeah, I've seen Lost Highway, which has just been announced. That's getting a 4K as well. I've seen the first season of Twin Peaks, and I just kind of like fell away from season 2, but I did enjoy the first season of it. I feel like I've seen another Lynch film, but it escapes me.
Well, the Elephant Man's a David Lynch film, believe it or not.
I've not seen The Elephant Man. I remember you saying I need to see that. I'm going to get that for. Is that 4K, but in the US, is it? That US criterion?
The 4K for Studio Canal. Get over here.
Yeah. That's one of the ones that you've put me on. I've heard you get on about, so it's been on the radar. It's just getting
the best black and white one I've seen. Picture quality. Plus the movie itself is astounding.
Aye. No, I think some people say that's a more kind of like entry level friendly kind of one, isn't it? Has we got more like a straightforward movie for a David Lynch film? Am I right in saying?
It's his most normal movie of all, even though it's got the strangest of all for the Elephant Man as a subject. But
yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I know he did a spin-off to Twin Peaks that had Bowie in it that I'm quite interested in watching. Fire Walk With Me, was it? Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. And it's just get Bowie in it. I'll need to watch it. And
David Bowie's appearance in that, and I know there's like lost scenes that he's in, so I need to see the lost scenes version of it. I've got it, but I haven't watched it yet. And when he comes in, and it's the fact he's there, but he's not there, and it's a great person to have as this FBI agent who's not in the same time as they are. They're watching him on the screen coming in, but he's not there. But then he is there, and he comes in. But he's got this really odd American accent, like a sort of deep Southern accent. I don't know if he's put it on slightly wrong for this at all,
deliberately kind of thing.
It's only a tiny performance in the movie, but I reckon there's loads more of him that was in this lost version.
Right. So, definitely. At the very least,
very memorable, just for his little cameo, more or less.
What else did he do? There's something I've lost my chain of thought to do with David Lynch that I was going to mention, but Mulholland was more. I think it was John Clancy that put me onto this. Was Mulholland Drive not originally supposed to be like Twin Peaks season 3 or something like that? The idea of it, and it kind of got.
It was a TV show, but he lost the financing for it, so he had to turn it into a movie. And he had to go and film the second half. So that when you look at it, it looks like a movie that's 2 separate movies. It's weird, but it's David Lynch, so you don't mind. But like the 2 characters in the first half of the movie aren't really the same characters in the second half of the movie, which is odd. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It's David Lynch.
Chris Kyle, you'll probably not believe this, as I'm the superhero guy. I've still not watched The Boys. Really need to get on that. Yes, you do, mate. You do need to get on The Boys. I'm halfway through season 3. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's one of the best. It's like that. It's the kind of it's the antivirus to the MCU and all that. It's kind of, I've not read the comics, but if I would say if anyone's got this Marvel fatigue that people are talking about, get yourself over to Amazon and watch The Boys, because it's like the complete opposite of that.
I might watch it actually, because Deborah likes stuff like that. So I might.
Have you not seen it, John? No.
No, I haven't actually. I didn't even know
I
about it.
I think you'll like it if you like the action comics and all that.
You know, when you and Paul were talking on the last one of this, that's the first time I heard about The Boys.
All right.
I thought, what's that? So there you go.
Get the first, if you can get the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray. I don't know if the third will make it to Blu-ray, but you can. I don't know if you've got Amazon Prime or that, but you can.
Yeah, I've got that. I can watch it on there.
Get them all, but you can get them on. I don't think they've ever been released in 4K in the UK, certainly, but you can get them on. But you get it in 4K HDR, obviously on the stream. It's a nice looking show. I don't think Amazon's the best looking streaming platform personally.
No,
Netflix and Disney have the edge. I think Amazon's a bit hit or miss, but it still looks nice.
I was watching Stranger Things the other day, and that looks perfect. That's one of the best 4K I've seen on TV.
If I was to recommend, I'm actually thinking about doing a video on just like if you're looking to demo your TV but you don't have any 4K discs, like what shows to watch. I would. Altered Carbon's a fantastic one to watch on Netflix. The sci-fi one if you just want to demo your new telly, yours, John. What else is good? My mind's gone blank now. I'll need to put it in a video. But yeah, that would be Altered Carbon is pretty fantastic looking. It's kind of like if you like the look of Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
That is kind of what Altered Carbon looks like throughout every episode. So even just putting it on to watch it, but the first episode is actually really, really good. The first season's good. Second season, damn squib, but the first one's worth a watch. You've heard your pictures, Keith. Thanks again, lads. Right, a question: what inspired you both to start a YouTube channel, and what would be your holy grail item in your collections?
Well, I think
we could go over it again. I'm down to 10% Barry now, John. So we'll be
okay. Well, quickly, I think it's just the fact that I saw people doing this type of thing. And I thought, well, I think I could do that. I would like to do it because you've got a big collection, and you want to share it with people who actually want to listen to you, rather than your work pals when you say this and they just say not interested. So you think, well, people on here are interested, so I like that. And also, I would say my holy grail item in my collection kind of alters from time to time, but I would say it's probably the Godzilla Criterion set. Even though it's not big, it's in a cupboard. But I do like the fact that it's there. And I've got this huge thing for Godzilla. Yeah.
Excuse the pun, huge thing. Yeah, for me, Keith, I was kind of speaking at the beginning, saying that the mission statement, if you like, for the channel has changed a little bit. But initially, it was all going to all be about watching stuff to high quality. I'm a bit tech geeky, hence Electric Geek. It was going to be about how 4K reviews, how to get the best out your TV and all that. Which, to be fair, I have stayed kind of faithful to. I've got videos on that I've done quite well and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just same as John. It was just a case of like, the reality is I was boring people at work and my wife with getting excited about like 4K HDR films and stuff. I've got mates that are into films, but a lot of them have just moved over to streaming or getting stuff like on Hooky Street, as I call it. None of them are like kind of purists when it comes to like 4K and Blu-ray. So I jumped in here and I couldn't believe how many other people were into it. So I'm glad I did, and that's kind of where it is. It's leaned a bit heavily towards movies, but I'm conscious of that, and I'm going to try and, which there's nothing wrong with because I enjoy talking about it, but I'm going to try and steer it back towards kind of tech and a bit of gaming as well. But related to movies is kind of what I'm planning. Yeah, holy grail item for me is recent. I'm not going up there and get it, but it's again, I don't have a big collection, Keith, so it's nothing like yours, but the Blade Runner Titans of Cult, which went out of print for a while, but then somebody on Instagram tipped me that they were having a limited reprint. So I was really pleased that I got that because it's my favourite movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of all time. I've just realised I didn't answer that question earlier on at the beginning. But yeah, Blade Runner's favourite movie, so that Titans of Cult, I feel pretty lucky to get that because it's so outrageous. I'm pretty sure, Keith, you've got that yourself. He probably has, but I'm sure he does. I remember seeing the Titans of Cult spines. Just a good man, John. Been a fan of Who since Colin Baker's final few acts. Love Jodie, but massively let down with the writing. That's kind of what you were saying, wasn't it? Really looking forward to next year for the 60th return of Tennant, Tate, and RTD.
Yes, totally agree with that.
I don't mean to be rude to anyone here, but I'm just trying to get through these so we can wrap up
No
before it cuts off. Corisha, the jump scare happens in the first 15 minutes of Mulholland Drive. Don't let that put you off seeing the movie. Right? At least I know when it is now. That's. Tell me more.
It's only 4 seconds of your life.
Right. Okay. We'll just watch it like that.
It might be the last 4 seconds of your life.
That's it. Hi. Heart attack. Pete from Pretender Guy. Blue Velvet was a fantastic film. Dennis Hopper was terrible. I totally forgot that was David Lynch, of course.
Yeah. Oh, he was so like terrifying in that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for your comment, mate. Zephyr, have you watched many of the Universal Monsters box sets? If you haven't watched Creature from the Black Lagoon recently, 50s release, but I've bought something enjoyable, albeit with an oddly abrupt ending. No, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I watched them all. They're great. Love that stuff.
I'll do this last comment, guys, and then anything after that, I'm afraid I'll have to reply to off here as such. But Rose, Game of Thrones is brilliant. I hadn't seen one episode up until last year, and I just went for it and bought the whole series. Now watched 3 seasons, and it's amazing. I recommend it, John. You definitely need to watch it. I know you can get them all in 4K, which I'd love to have, but I think the cheapest I've seen it was on a HMV sale recently, and it was 50% off, and it was 150 quid. So I think it's like 300 quid or something like that normally for the 4K. But I would like to have that because I think probably is one of my favourite pieces of TV. So maybe one day I'll get it.
I think I'll have to check it out, but it's just the amount of them that puts us off a little bit, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think it generally, you probably heard people say this about loads of shows that I've tried to talk you into, but I honestly think once you get 2 or 3 episodes in, you won't have a choice. You'll just be.
All right. I'll give it a whirl.
But yeah. So I'll kind of have to wrap up there. I would happily talk to you for much longer, John, but unfortunately I'm limited by my technology here, and I don't want to just bail out in a hurry like I did for poor old Paul the other night there. But yeah, everyone that's been in the chat tonight and spent a bit of time, I really appreciate it. Out of the day, it's just 2 dudes talking about movies, so I appreciate you spending your Sunday night listening to us, and it really helps. It helps the conversation flow when you guys are firing in the comments, and it's interesting. It makes it exciting for us as well. I'm sure you'll agree, John.
I've really enjoyed myself, and I want to thank you once again for inviting us on. And I enjoyed your first one with Paul, and I was so glad to be a guest on it. And I look forward to seeing future guests for yourself, and really enjoyed myself.
Brilliant. No, likewise, John. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. It was really good of you. Hopefully, get you back on at some point. I'll do something else in the future. As I say, I could talk longer, but we'll have to. We can't talk all night, unfortunately.
You have to get a bigger battery on your phone.
That's it. And I need to find a place of filming where I'm next to a power cable. But no, I've never been someone that's lost for words. That's for sure. But, no. Thanks very much. Any kind of shout outs to any people you want to kind of shout out regards YouTube or Instagram, or maybe even a last recommendation for people to check out for anyone that's watching that doesn't kind of follow you normally, John? Any recommendations? Or?
All right, sorry, me.
Aye, anything that.
What did I?
Just a movie recommendation. Just a final thought.
Sorry, I'm sitting here listening to you, but I'm not really. Right. So yeah, sorry, I plugged my brain back in. It's been a long day. Well, I've got to say, I've been digging through the rest of the AGFA 101 films, low budget trash that they're putting out, but they're just so good. And I can totally recommend any of them if anybody wants to pick them up. If you're into that type of thing, get yourself down there. And I know that you might think, what? That it's like, but it is treated as just fun. And I like these really bad action movies that are atrocious. I don't know how they're putting them out, but they are. So I'm really into them at the minute, and I can't wait to watch. I've got about 3 to watch, so I can't wait to watch the other 3. Plus, there's 2 movies on every disc, so it's quite a thrilling thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
No worries. Last thing I just wanted to mention that I keep forgetting is that a Mogwai t-shirt you've got on?
Yes, it is.
Awesome, because they're Scottish, aren't they? I used to listen to Mogwai
from Glasgow.
I like that. Yeah, I used to have a Mogwai album years ago, and funnily enough, I started watching Blackbird, which is a Taron Egerton Apple Plus series. It's just started, and it's just weird that you get that t-shirt on, because I was watching it and it came up music by Mogwai. Hadn't heard of them for 20 years, and I was like, oh, Mogwai. and then I come on tonight and you've got a Mogwai t-shirt on. It's like, it's weird how stuff like that works out.
Since we've got the Glasgow element in here, I thought I have to dig me Mogwai t-shirt. I saw them live, and they are officially the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life.
That's what they are. They're one of these bands that they are just noise, aren't they? And it's whether you like that noise, basically. There's not. I need to listen to them again. I used to, as I say, it's all instrumental, but I enjoyed that album years ago.
They've done some good. They had a really good. The last album was a big hit, actually. Got #1.
Oh, did I? I'll need to definitely to look at it.
It's first #1 they ever had, and album-wise.
Campfire is a good mate of mine, Scott, who does he couldn't make it tonight. Normally he manages all the kind of spam comments. But he's just saying subscribe. I look forward to watching your channel, and he's subscribed to me. But we'll leave it there. Again, thanks very much, John, for coming on. If you haven't checked out, if this is the first time you've seen John, I've got the link in the description for John's channel. You can jump on, give him some love, subscribe. You'll not be disappointed. If you like my channel, well, there's every chance you're going to like John's. So definitely check that out. And again, thanks very much for coming on tonight, mate.
No, it's a pleasure. Thanks very much for inviting me on.
Right.
Enjoy.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone. And thanks to John. Right. Until next time. See you later.
See you later.
See you later, John. Cheerio, man.
Bye.